Chapter 2546, Demanding an Explanation. Jian Wushuang smiled coldly on the tavern's first floor while sipping his drink when he heard Yi Ming's voice. How arrogant! Of course he is. Xiao Qixin smiled. Jian Wushuang made a move. He appeared on the tavern's second floor in the blink of an eye, with Yi Ming's servants had already beaten up the thin man. Jian Yi was unimpressed and emanated a sweep of high-level ultimate god's aura from his body. I heard someone say that he wants to wipe me off. Who's that? Jian Wushuang asked in a cold tone with his displeased face seemingly covered in frost. Master, you're here. I would have been killed have you not arrived in time. The thin man wailed miserably the moment he saw Jian Wushuang. Are you guys those who want to abolish my disciples' cultivation base and even threaten to do the same to me? Jian Wushuang's cold gaze scanned those people from the Yi clan. Yi Ming was a little confused and disconcerted. He could sense Jian Wushuang's divine power breath, which was almost similar to his father's, and knew he was facing a high-level ultimate god. Who would have thought the thin man, lying on the ground, crying miserably, had a high-level ultimate god master? The hopeless disciple called a high-level ultimate god his master? That was unbelievable. The servants who were with Yi Ming came back to their senses, as one of them reverently said, Master, we are from the Yi clan, and this is young Master Yi Ming. What just happened is just a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? I heard you were going to maim my disciple and abolish my cultivation base. Are you sure that's just a misunderstanding? Jian Wushuang waved his hand and grabbed Yi Ming while the winds knocked those servants down to the ground. Young Master Yi Ming. Well, I'm going to demand an explanation from the Yi clan. I want to know just how they're educating their youngsters. Come with me. After that, Jian Wushuang grabbed Yi Ming and dashed out of the tavern. Yi Ming's servants of Yi Ming, as well as those people in the tavern, could not stop Jian Wushuang and merely watched him leave with Yi Ming. The crowd in the tavern became tumultuous after both of them were completely out of sight. Young Master, Yi Ming has been arrested. Shit! Quick! Report this to the second elder. Yi clan was a mid-tier clan with a good background among the clans in the northern Darkstar continent. Although they were only a mid-tier clan, they never lacked experts and even had a peak ultimate god. In a magnificent-looking hall, an old man with purple hair was scanning through a piece of information. Suddenly, what? The purple-haired old man was shocked as he sprang up to his feet. Minger is arrested by a high-level ultimate god, and he's on his way here to demand an explanation? How daring! The purple-haired old man was fuming. At that very moment, a powerful high-level ultimate god aura came through the Yi clan mansion's gates. Come out, Yi clan fellows! A violent roar rang within the Yi clan's mansion. He's here. The purple-haired old man looked up with his eyes blazing within the fire of fury. The entire Yi clan was in a commotion as a group of experts almost instantly started gathering around the mansion's gates. Most of those experts were ultimate gods, with more than 30 who appeared before Jian Wushuang. The purple-haired old man was among them, making a total of 5 high-level ultimate gods present. However, the Yi clan leader, a peak ultimate god, had yet to come forward. So, this is just a mid-tier clan. Jian Wushuang sighed before waving his hand and throwing Yi Ming toward the Yi clan's people. The purple-haired old man immediately stepped up to help Yi Ming. Yi Ming started yelling upon being freed. Father, that's him. He caught me and almost killed me. Quick, kill him and avenge me. The purple-haired old man ordered. Shut up. After a thorough checkup, he noticed the uninjured Yi Ming and was relieved. After that, Jian Wushuang spoke up with his loud and thick voice, which echoed throughout the mansion. Yi Clan, I need you to give me an explanation. He was so loud that not only all of Yi Clan's people heard him, but also alerted the many cultivators who were not far away. The annoyed Yi Clan members wore an ugly expression on their faces. Explanation? The purple-haired old man put Yi Ming aside and looked straight into Jian Wushuang's eyes before coldly shouted, "You caught my son, and yet arrogantly came running over here and demanded an explanation. How disrespectful you are. Elders, fight alongside me and take him down. Kill him if he dares resist." Yes. 3 high-level ultimate gods immediately stood up and charged toward Jian Wushuang. They did not see Jian Wushuang as a threat, since all of them were at a similar realm level on top of being a 3 against 1 battle. A playful grin lit up Jian Wushuang's features as he moved and drew out 11 apparitions. A majestic sword light cut through the void. The sword light was not only splendid, but also incredibly fast. Before the 3 high-level ultimate gods who stepped up had time to react, the sword light landed on their divine bodies. Hum, hum, hum. The 3 high-level ultimate gods snorted and were prepared to retaliate. This is just a warning. I won't hesitate to kill if you insist on attacking me, announced Jian Wushuang coldly. Oh, many clan's experts were surprised to hear his threat. Did he just defeated 3 high-level ultimate gods with a flick of his sword? They could see his previous move was purely a warning given to his opponents. Otherwise, those 3 high-level ultimate gods would have been severely wound, or even worse, dead. A high-level ultimate god who was repelled in the first attack solemnly said, "Second Elder, he's very powerful." The purple-haired old man squinted his eyes while studying Jian Wushuang before his face suddenly changed, as though being reminded of something. Golden robe, good with a sword, and a high space-time law understanding. Your Excellency, are you the newly promoted blood gladiator 2 months ago, Mr. Jian Yi? Jian Yi. Everyone in the Yi clan's jaws slacked as they had heard of his name. Jian Wushuang's name spread throughout the northern Darkstar continent after succeeding in the Blood Gladiators Challenge. The Yi clan was of course well informed of such news. Do you know me? Jian Wushuang wore a half-smile. The old man with purple hair gasped, "It's you?" Chapter 2547. Daylight Robbery. Mr. Jian Yi is a well-known blood gladiator. The Yi clan would have of course heard of you. May I ask how my son offended you? He turns out to be your son, I see. He ordered his servants to maim my apprentice's limbs and abolish his cultivation base in the tavern. That isn't all. Yiming even threatened to do the same to me when my apprentice mentioned me as his master. Well, I'm interested in finding out how the Yi clan is going to make that happen. Jian Wushuang pulled a stern face with sparks of anger radiating from his eyes. His words shocked everyone. Abolish his cultivation base. Abolish the cultivation base of blood gladiator Jian Yi. Did Yiming say that? Bastard! What ignorance! The purple-haired old man was fuming and gave his son Yiming an unforgivable glare. He did not expect Yiming to mess with Jian Yi. Jian Yi was a blood gladiator. He must be a genius for Jian Yi to be a blood gladiator. There were also rumors of him defeating a super genius from Dragon Phoenix Pavilion in the final round challenge and demonstrated great talent. Most people would love to recruit such a genius and be in his good books. The purple-haired old man was shocked that his very own son had provoked Jian Yi and even threatened to abolish his cultivation base. That was outrageous. It was fortunate that Jian Yi merely demanded an explanation and did not attack Yiming. Were it any other man, he would have attacked Yiming without further ado. After taking a deep breath to calm his nerves, the purple-haired old man looked into Jian Wushuang's eyes. Your Excellency, it's indeed my son's fault. I regret to say that I've failed as a father. In the Yi clan's second elder, and also Yi Ming's father. I sincerely would like to apologize and thank you for your mercy. The purple-haired old man was subservient to Jian Wushuang. He desperately wanted to appease Jian Wushuang. Humph, do you think an apology could make up for your son's mistakes? Jian Wushuang snorted. How would you like to settle it? The purple-haired old man frowned. It's simple. We can settle with 100,000 primordial stones, and it'll put the matter at rest. Jian Wushuang cut to the chase. 100,000 primordial stones. All of the Yi clan members present were taken aback and angered. The Yi clan was a mid-tier clan in the northern Darkstar continent and was rather wealthy, but 100,000 primordial stones were still a large sum. Jian Wushuang demanded the Yi clan to pay an exorbitant price for a mistake, which was no different from daylight robbery. You're asking for a lot. The purple-haired old man's gaze turned cold. Am I? It's just 100,000 primordial stones. Fortunately, my disciple is fine. Otherwise, I don't think that will be enough. You're Yi clan's second elder, right? I suggest you weigh the consequences of your decisions. Would you rather hand over 100,000 primordial stones or battle with me? Jian Wushuang gave a sardonic laugh with his confidently puffed-up chest. On the other hand, the purple-haired old man looked gloomy. The Yi clan's elders then leaned in for an ad hoc discussion. What should we do? 100,000 primordial stones are just too much. We can't afford to give him. Yes, he's just looting us. The elders were furious. The purple-haired old man waved his hand. Jian, he is no pushover. He's showing a much stronger strength than an average high-level ultimate gods 2 months ago when he challenged the blood gladiators. After he was declared as a new blood gladiator, he took away 160,000 primordial stones from the Shur clan's arena. I heard the Shur clan wasn't about to let the matter slip, so they sent their third elder and 4 high-level ultimate gods to hunt him down, but failed to capture him on top of being unable to retrieve those primordial stones. There's also news that not long ago Jian Yi wiped out 3 of the 18 prefectures in the Dark Thunder territory. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor was forced to personally take matters into his hand and launched an attack. However, Jian Yi left unscathed. It's obvious he's very difficult to deal with, so if he made another breakthrough and reached the high-level ultimate god realm, his strength will naturally become even stronger. It's to our disadvantage when battling against an extremely powerful person like him. An elder scowled. So what should we do? Are we giving in to his demand of 100,000 primordial stones? Don't worry. I've reported this matter to the clan leader, and let him come forth to solve this issue. I'm sure he's the only person who can subdue Jian Yi, said the purple-haired old man. Everyone else nodded in unison. The Yi clan leader was the Yi clan's top-tier peak ultimate god expert. He had chosen to lie low quite some time ago, but would step up and help the Yi clan out of tight spots. Have you decided? Although Jian Wushuang stood alone in front of the Yi clan mansion, he remained calm while facing many of Yi clan's experts. All of a sudden, who's here to cause a scene in front of my Yi clan's mansion? An angry shout thunderously resounded from the void above. An extremely powerful aura emerged shortly after from the deepest part of the Yi clan's mansion. His breath of divine power was much stronger than the many high-level ultimate gods present. A figure slowly came out from the Yi clan's mansion and positioned himself before Jian Wushuang. It was an old man with white hair and a goatee. Although the old man looked weak and infirm, his eyes were dazzling bright like flashes of light. Everyone was in awe. It's the clan leader. You're finally out. The Yi clan members were overjoyed when they saw his arrival. The old man with a goatee was the leader of Yi clan and the clan's only peak ultimate god, Yi Dingshan. A pleasure to meet you. Let me reintroduce myself. Jian Yi, a recently appointed blood gladiator, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. Blood gladiator? Yi Dingshan frowned and continued in a loud voice. So what if you're a blood gladiator? You have no position to chuck a tantrum here. Leave. Otherwise, it'll no longer be courteous. Ha! I'm curious what will happen if you're no longer courteous. Jian Wushuang coldly grinned. Chapter 2548. Yi clan leader Yi Dingshan's face sank as his divine power breath erupted and made his move. Rumbling. The sky shook as the overwhelming divine power came down on Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed slightly. Yi Dingshan was a genuine peak ultimate god, after all unlike the others. Hence his capabilities and powers should not be taken lightly. Jian Wushuang decided to use the 7 stars secret technique. Infinite golden divine power converged behind Jian Wushuang and formed a golden god shadow in the blink of an eye. It was majestic, huge, and towered over everything. As Jian Wushuang dived down from the void, his terrifying divine power, which erupted, shook the earth, revealing strengths no weaker than Yi Dingshan. Holy moly, he's just a high-level ultimate god, but his powers are no less than that of an average peak ultimate god. The Yi clan members were impressed. The 2 figures were dueling in the void above. Boom! There was a loud noise as space and time seemed to have momentarily shied away. Jian Wushuang's figure dispersed into 11 apparitions. Space-time apparitions. Yi Dingshan grinned as he also made the same move. Hum, 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 hum. He made 13 apparitions, 2 more apparitions than Jian Wushuang. He's also good with space-time law and is even better than me. Jian Wushuang was surprised, but a gush of samsara strength started sweeping through his body. Jian Wushuang's eyes were filled with hatred. Hate, hate, hate. The feeling of hatred came wave after wave. A hazy sword light carved a hateful path toward heaven in the void. Humph! Yi Dingshan scoffed and suddenly flung out his right hand, which had condensed endless divine powers. Pop! A clear, explosive sound rang. There were visible cracks in the void, like glass about to break apart. His divine powers had covered up Jian Wushuang's hateful path toward heaven. Yi Dingshan did not stop and had both hands out. Pop! 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 An incessant, crisp, explosive noise echoed in the void. Every explosion was accompanied by extremely terrifying strong powers aimed at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang swung his long sword and swept across multiple times with his sword intent, but were parried off by those terrifying powers. Jian Wushuang's face sank and abruptly took a step back. That's enough. Jian Wushuang gave an enigmatic smile and immediately sent out a palm strike. Rumbling, the boundless golden divine power ocean instantly erupted. The golden divine power ocean covered everything and had completely enveloped the void, where Yi Dingshan was within a short time forming an indestructible golden prison. The golden prison had trapped both Jian Wushuang and Yi Dingshan within it, while Yi clan's experts, along with everyone else, were excluded. Everyone in the Yi clan was startled to see the golden prison's emergence. Oh no, the clan leader is trapped within the prison. This prison is so strong and sturdy, I'm afraid that even a peak ultimate god is unable to break out of it. Damn it, it's impermeable. There's no way for me to use soul powers. I don't even know what's happening inside. Will the clan leader be in danger? Don't worry too much. The clan leader is a peak ultimate god after all. Jian Yi is still not his match, even with this prison in place. The Yi clan members had confidence in their leader, Yi Dingshan. Jian Wushuang was only a high-level ultimate god after all. Perhaps the clan leader was unable to threaten Jian Yi, but it was also absolutely impossible for Jian Yi to defeat or kill the clan leader. The Yi clan members, along with those many experts from the surrounding area who had been alerted of the incident, waited quietly outside the golden prison. Their wait only lasted for a brief moment. Boom! A thunderous roar sounded as the golden prison opened up and receded. Two figures appeared at the opposite ends of the void after the golden prison melted away. They were none other than Jian Wushuang and Yi Dingshan. A peak ultimate god strength is indeed powerful. I apologize for my arrogance. Jian Wushuang's hearty laughter reverberated between heaven and earth. The Yi clan members and those many cultivators in the surrounding void immediately knew what that meant. Jian Yi was probably disadvantaged or suffered a small defeat. Otherwise, why would he admit being arrogant? He must have known he was no match for Yi Dingshan. The Yi clan members were overjoyed. The clan leader is great. Nonsense! Jian Yi is merely a high-level ultimate god. How could he be compared with the clan leader? He's smart to have acknowledged he was being arrogant. The Yi clan's experts commented. They did not notice Yi Dingshan looked extremely solemn and took a deep look toward Jian Wushuang for some time before saying, "The Yi clan had indeed offended you, and it's normal for one's master to seek justice for his disciple, but 100,000 primordial stones are too much. What about 50,000 primordial stones?" 50,000 primordial stone? The Yi clan's members were shocked. Most people did not understand why Yi Dingshan had taken out 50,000 primordial stones as compensation despite winning. Only a few people along with the purple-haired old man knew that he was just waiting. "Ha ha! I'm just here to seek justice for my disciple and don't intend to make Yi clan my enemy. The primordial stones are a small matter. If you don't mind, we can go to some other place and talk," said Jian Wushuang with a smile. "Yes, please come into the Yi clan mansion, Mr. Jian Yi," said Yi Dingshan. "I won't be courteous." Jian Wushuang grinned and went towards the Yi clan's mansion with Yi Dingshan's guidance. Everyone present was at a loss. They wondered what had happened. Why were the two opponents so polite to each other? The clan leader was an arrogant man, and yet he invited Jian Yi into the Yi clan's mansion. Jian Wushuang came out of the mansion half an hour later. "You can stop escorting me here. I'm leaving." Jian Wushuang smiled. "Safe journeys, Mr. Jian Yi. Do come by and visit us if you have the time. Our Yi clan members will treat you well." Yi Dingshan was being rather humbled and gentle. "Ha, sure." Jian Wushuang cupped up his hands as everyone in the Yi clan watched him depart and soon disappeared out of sight. Chapter 2549. The brazen Jian Yi. After Jian Wushuang left, the Yi clan elders quickly leaned in to learn what happened from the clan leader. The purple-haired old man asked, "What happened in the golden prison?" "What happened? Haha, it's nothing. Jian Yi never wanted to be our enemy, and we naturally don't want to be against him either. If that's the case, why not just make peace?" Yi Dingshan explained and smiled. The purple-haired old man frowned and regretfully said in a low voice, "But 50,000 primordial stones. It's all because of my rebellious son. We wouldn't be in this mess today if he hadn't rubbed Jian Yi wrongly." "No, today's incident isn't entirely your son's fault. If I'm not mistaken, Jian Yi probably is just after primordial stones. He used Yi Ming as an excuse to get what he wanted. I'm sure he'll come up with something else even if Yi Ming isn't involved," said Yi Dingshan. "Excuse me?" The Yi clan members were surprised. He deliberately came to us, flexed his power, and showed us his capabilities before gracefully retreating for those primordial stones. By doing so, we won't be embarrassed, and he'll get what he wanted as compensation," said Yi Dingshan. "He's so brazen," exclaimed the purple-haired old man. "He's indeed brazen. Or perhaps he badly needed primordial stones and had to use such methods. Experts like him have many ways to get primordial stones, after all. Although he blatantly did this to us, it's better than battling it out with him. Moreover, we can afford the 50,000 primordial stones. Just considered it a gift to establish new friendships." After explaining the situation, Yi Dingshan was no longer interested in staying with the Yi clan elders. He turned around before going back to his retreat. The Yi clan's elders and experts agreed with Yi Dingshan. However, they had no idea there was an undisclosed reason why Yi Dingshan agreed to give Jian Wushuang the 50,000 primordial stones and acted so politely toward him. It was because Jian Wushuang gave him face and also saved the Yi clan's dignity. No one was able to see what happened earlier in the Golden Prison, where he dueled with Jian Wushuang. Once the Golden Prison disappeared, Jian Wushuang openly lauded his capabilities so that everyone thought Jian Wushuang had lost the battle. However, it was Yi Dingshan who was disadvantaged inside the Golden Prison. The moment they were trapped in the Golden Prison, a golden armor appeared on Jian Wushuang's body, which amplified his overall strength by nearly 3 times. Coupled with his outstanding sword skills, Jian Wushuang had Yi Dingshan completely under his control. Yi Dingshan knew he was going to be defeated for sure. Who would have thought Jian Wushuang removed the Golden Prison and declared his defeat in front of everyone to save Yi Dingshan's face? Yi Dingshan was fast-witted and instantly knew what Jian Wushuang was up to. Thereafter, he chose to go along with Jian Wushuang and save himself along with the Yi clan from being embarrassed. As for those 50,000 primordial stones, they were nothing compared to his and the Yi clan's dignity. Jian Wushuang reunited with Xiao Tiexin in the tavern. "What happened?" Xiao Tiexin asked. Jian Wushuang triumphantly said, "I've got 50,000 primordial stones in hand." 50,000? Xiao Tiexin's eyes lit up. They agreed. Well, they had no choice. Jian Wushuang grinned. Jian Wushuang may have openly admitted his defeat, but what happened in the Golden Prison was him badly beating Yi Dingshan up. Yi Dingshan knew Jian Wushuang's capabilities. Besides, Jian Wushuang was only asking for 50,000 primordial stones, which the Yi clan could still afford. Although Yi Dingshan is a peak ultimate god, he's probably of a lower-ranked level. I'm unable to compete with him without the 9 Sparkle Star armor, but he didn't stand a chance once I used the armor. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. "This interspatial ring is for you." Jian Wushuang threw a ring to the thin man beside him. This thin man was the one who earlier acted as Jian Wushuang's disciple. His eyes lit up with joy after taking the interspatial ring and peered into it. "Thank you, Master. This is my message token. Please contact me if you need me for anything in the future." The thin man left after putting down his message token. "Why do you let him go now? Aren't you going to find fault with other clans?" Xiao Tiexin looked over quizzically. "Never repeat the same trick twice. I'll be dubious if I repeated the same thing. Besides, I can come up with lots of excuses for my next target." Jian Wushuang smiled mischievously. "By the way, which clan should I target next?" The Jiang clan is a mid-tier clan whose strength is similar to the Yi clan. Although the Jiang clan leader is slightly stronger than Yi Dingshan, it's not by much, said Xiao Tiexin. "Let's go for Jiang clan, then." Jian Wushuang chuckled. He went with Xiao Tiexin to nettle with the Jiang clan soon after. In the Shi clan's grand hall, Shi Qianhan, the Shi clan leader, was discussing some matters with several elders. Suddenly, an old man in black walked in. "I've just got the news that Jian Yi received 50,000 primordial stones from the Hu clan," said the old man in black. Jian Yi made his move. Shi Qianhan smiled coldly when he got the news. He went to the Yi clan first, followed by the Jiang clan, and made up excuses to extort primordial stones from both of them. What excuse did he make up for the Hu clan? The old man in black said, "His excuse is so ridiculous. Jian Yi went to the Hu clan and claimed that Hu Yiming tried to kill him many years ago, and he's here to seek revenge." Hu Yiming? Who's that? Shi Qianhan asked. "He's a primary-level ultimate god from the Hu clan who was killed in a battle a few hundred years ago," said the old man in black. A Shi clan elder exclaimed, "Oh my!" He even used a dead person as an excuse. Why is he so brazen? Indeed, he's quite shameless to have done that. There is no way to seek clarification when a person is dead after all. He can claim whatever he wants, yet the Hu clan is unable to refute him. In the end, the Hu clan has no choice but to give him 50,000 primordial stones to settle the issue. He's also being rather thoughtful and didn't cause a scene at the Hu clan's mansion," said the old man in black. Chapter 2550. Lavish gifts, that's a smart move. Shi Qianhan coldly sneered. Although he went to those clans to find fault with ridiculous excuses, he didn't ruin their relationship or offend them. On the contrary, he tried his best to protect their dignity while leaving them no choice but to go along with him. It's a shame he uses such methods, but his strength is undeniable. Yes, I can see that the clan experts were laughing when Jian Yi left with no signs of any displeasure, said the old man in black. That's true. He probably needs a lot of primordial stones. Otherwise, he won't use such despicable and self-degrading means. Those clans are also well aware of this, and are willing to give away those primordial stones, since the amount he asked for isn't too much and rather given to him, said Shi Qianhan. Will Jian Yi come after us if that's the case? We did have some issues with him earlier, said the old man in black. How dare him? Shi Qianhan's voice turned cold. Unless he has gone crazy, he won't dare to target the Shi clan. That was true. Jian Wushuang only targeted some of the relatively weaker mid-tier clans. He would definitely want to stay away from those prominent and powerful clans like the Shi clan or Wu clan. After going to a few more clans, news started to spread, and some mid-tier clans took the initiative to send Jian Wushuang primordial stones. Mr. Jian Yi, the Han clan have just sent you 10,000 primordial stones on top of some other cultivation resources and treasures. Xiao Tiexin handed an interspatial ring to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang rubbed his forehead with a rather strange expression and darted a look toward the table next to him, which had no less than 10 interspatial rings. He did not expect that after going to 3 clans, the other northern Darkstar continent clans voluntarily made their ways and proffered him gifts. It seemed that those clans had communicated with each other and came to a consensus to send him rather generous gifts. Those gifts ranged from between 7,000 to 8,000 primordial stones, while some went up to 10,000 and 20,000 primordial stones. He had received around 140,000 primordial stones from those clans in addition to the 50,000 primordial stones, each from the Yi, Jiang, and Hu clans. He had accumulated a total of 290,000 primordial stones on hand. 290,000 were a huge number of primordial stones, but Jian Wushuang was still unsatisfied. He needed at least 500,000 primordial stones for his breakthrough to the ultimate god realm and still had 200,000 more to go. What those clans were doing made it difficult for him to continue his primordial stones milking plan. Those clans probably knew he needed primordial stones and took the initiative to give him after all. Therefore, they had given him quite a fair bit of primordial stones. No matter how brazen Jian Wushuang was, it made no sense to find fault with those clans who extended an olive branch out to him. Now, I can't continue doing what I was doing, but there are only 290,000 primordial stones, which is a far cry from what I need. What should I do now? Shall I go for the 3 top-tier clans? Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes as he pondered. Those who presented him gifts were small and medium clans. On the other hand, the 3 top-tier clans had been rather quiet. Jian Wushuang could no longer go to the small and middle clans, hence he turned his attention to the 3 top-tier clans. However, the top-tier clans were difficult to handle. Each of the 3 top-tier clans in the northern Darkstar continent has 4 to 5 peak ultimate gods, with each no less powerful than the Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor. They might shun me if I visit them on my own. Jian Wushuang brushed his nose as he carefully considered his next course of action. While Jian Wushuang was pondering, a thick voice suddenly rang. "Is Mr. Jian in?" Jian Wushuang raised his head. Xiao Tiexin went out to check and returned after a while. "Mr. Jian Yi, someone from the Situ clan is here," announced Xiao Tiexin. "Situ clan?" Jian Wushuang was surprised. The Shi clan, Wu clan, and Situ clan were the 3 top-tier clans in the northern Darkstar continent. The Situ clan was the weakest among them. The Shi clan and Wu clan had not done anything, but the Situ clan took the initiative and approached him. "Please bring him in," ordered Jian Wushuang. Xiao Tiexin soon led a middle-aged man wearing a loose and long robe to Jian Wushuang's location. The middle-aged man was gentle and polite. He bowed to Jian Wushuang with great humility and introduced himself upon seeing Jian Wushuang. "I'm the Situ clan leader, Situ Yuan. A pleasure to meet you, Mr. Jian Yi. Are you the Situ clan leader?" Jian Wushuang was a little surprised. The middle-aged man before him was obviously a high-level ultimate god, yet he was the Situ clan leader. He even bowed to Jian Wushuang while bearing such a noble identity. "You're so polite and humble. Please have a seat." Jian Wushuang waved his hand. Situ Yuan immediately took a seat. "I wonder what brings you here today?" Jian Wushuang asked. Situ Yuan said, "I'm here today to be your friend, Mr. Jian Yi. I know you visited the Yi clan, Jiang clan, and Hu clan some time ago before asking them for a lot of primordial stones. Are you in urgent need of primordial stones?" "Yes, you're right. I urgently need a large number of primordial stones." Jian Wushuang nodded. Situ Yuan smiled faintly and immediately withdrew an interspatial ring. "There are 100,000 primordial stones in this interspatial ring. I hope ITLL be helpful to you, Mr. Jian Yi." Situ Yuan handed Jian Wushuang the interspatial ring. 100,000 primordial stones. Jian Wushuang was impressed. Xiao Tiexin was also shocked to hear that. The other small and medium clans could only offer 10,000 to 20,000 primordial stones at most, while the Situ clan straightforwardly offered 100,000 primordial stones. It was such a lavish gift. "I'm concerned." Jian Wushuang smiled, but did not accept the interspatial ring. "Mr. Jian Yi, what's on your mind?" Situ Yuan was humble and patient. Chapter 2551. Situ clan. "Indeed, I've recently been seeking opportunities to gain primordial stones from those clans. I admit I've been using some lame excuses to do so. However, no matter how powerful I am, I won't be coming after the Situ clan, so you should not need to be bothered by this at all. The Shi clan and Wu clan are unfazed by my actions, so why did you even make the effort to seek me out?" Jian Wushuang curiously asked. "I'll be frank with you." Situ Yuan was momentarily silent before slowly continued. "Although the Situ clan is one of the 3 top-tier clans in the northern Darkstar continent, we just appeared glamorous on the outside, but are actually in a deadlock with them. We're not as wealthy as the Shi clan and Wu clan. Most importantly, we don't have an Earth ultimate god to manage the clan." Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. I know of this. He heard about the Situ clan's situation from Xiao Tiexin. There would have been 4 top-tier clans if the Xiao clan was not exterminated in the northern Darkstar continent. These 4 top-tier clans were managed by the Earth Ultimate Gods, but unfortunately, the Xiao clan and Situ clan's Earth Ultimate Gods were long dead. On the other hand, the Earth Ultimate Gods of the Shi and Wu clan were still alive. Although the overall Situ clan isn't weak, we aren't that strong either. This is unlike the fearless Shi and Wu clan even when facing the territorial lord. They remained respectful, but were never intimidated, and with their Earth Ultimate God still alive, the territorial lord is hesitant to go against them, and would only pass on a light punishment even if they had done something wrong. The Situ clan don't enjoy such similar treatments. Situ Yuan sighed before continuing. Mr. Jian, he has been here for a while. I'm sure you've heard about the Xiao clan, right? The Xiao clan. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Xiao Tiexin, who was standing next to Jian Wushuang, was not as composed. The Xiao clan situation was the same as the Situ clan. They had a strong foundation and an extraordinary background, but lacked an Earth Ultimate God protector. Hence, the territorial lord didn't need to be mindful of accidentally irritating them. Although the Xiao clan was sufficiently cautious to rarely provoke the territorial lord, I noticed his interest in the Xiao clan's assets, and thus the territorial lord started maliciously making plans against the Xiao clan. He has been holding back quite well until one day when the Xiao clan obtained an extraordinary heavenly treasure. The territorial lord could no longer endure and ended up exterminating the Xiao clan, who were unable to resist. The Xiao clan and Situ clan practically lived in each other's shoes. We're no better off compared to them, and there's a high possibility the territorial lord will do the same to us, said Situ Yuan. Jian Wushuang understood. He understood Situ Yuan's worries. It was wise of the Situ clan to stay on guard and be prepared for the worst. Clan leader, I understand what you're trying to say. The territorial lord has no intentions to launch an attack on your clan from the way I see it. Even if he did, I won't be of much help. Why waste these primordial stones on me? Jian Wushuang asked. Mr. Jian, you've misunderstood my intentions. Situ Yuan smiled faintly. I don't expect protection from you when the Situ clan is in trouble. What we want is just to befriend you. We've been doing that with many parties in the northern Darkstar continent. Many experts in the northern Darkstar continent, including 2 official army commanders, have received gifts from the Situ clan. We do this not because we're expecting protection in return, but to create an impression of having many allies. After these people received Situ clan's gifts, they became more easygoing and fostered a bond with us. If the territorial lord attacks us, he has to be mindful of our allies. If the territorial lord decides to take action on us, we'll also probably end up like the Xiao clan. Although we're not expecting our friends to avenge us, we hope they'll at least be disgusted by the territorial lord's unscrupulous actions. That's the impression we want to build. Though it might seem like much, we're still willing to do our best. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded after Situ Yuan finished speaking. By doing so, the Situ clan will seem to have made many friends while causing the territorial lord to hesitate when dealing with the Situ clan. Yes, the Xiao clan had also done this, but weren't as generous and persistent as us, said Situ Yuan. Jian Wushuang was processing all the information provided to him. The Situ clan had forked out 100,000 primordial stones just to befriend him. The Xiao clan leader probably had not done the same. Is Mr. Jian willing to accept Situ clan's gift? Situ Yuan smiled. I'll take it, of course. Jian Wushuang smiled. I won't decline such good intentions. Jian Wushuang took the interspatial ring without hesitation. The reason he needed so many primordial stones was for his ultimate god real breakthrough to then challenge the territorial lord and take over his position. Once he succeeded, the Sidhu clan's current plans would come to fruition. By the way, could I ask you for a favor if you don't mind, clan leader? Jian Wushuang suddenly asked. Mr. Jian, please tell me what your desires are. Situ Yuan was very humble. Jian Wushuang explained, I urgently need more primordial stones. What you've sent me is still not enough. I have plenty of resources taken from the Dark Thunder territory. Its estimated value is approximately 170,000 primordial stones. In addition to the gifts given by those many clans in the past few days, the treasures I've accumulated should be worth more than 200,000 primordial stones. I wonder if the clan leader could figure out a way to exchange these resources into primordial stones. Chapter 2552. Forming alliances. Jian Wushuang needed primordial stones to accumulate divine powers for his cultivation. The cultivation resources and certain treasures were of great value. However, those were not useful to him at all. Did you just say you have resources and treasures worth more than 200,000 primordial stones? The head of Situ clan pondered for a moment before speaking. Mr. Jian, I don't think there are any stores in the northern Darkstar continent who can afford to trade these treasures with you. Even if we distribute them into batches between many stores, I don't think ITLL be of much help. The stores have their own supply channels, and it'd be impossible for them to acquire such a large volume of resources from you in one go. However, if Mr. Jian finds the Situ clan trustworthy, you can hand over these resources and treasures to me. He'll find a way to turn them into primordial stones as soon as possible, suggested Situ Yuan. How long do you think ITLL take for you to do that? Jian Wushuang asked. Situ Yuan put out one finger. 1 year. The Situ clan can definitely sell more than half of these resources and treasures within a year. Once that's done, there definitely won't be much left, so the Situ clan should be able to exchange the rest into primordial stones from our own treasury. A year? Jian Wushuang nodded. He had lived for nearly 100,000 years in his previous life, and due to different world constraints and environments, he spent around several tens to hundreds of years traveling. Although he had only been around for more than 20 years in his current life, he did not mind spending 1 year collecting primordial stones. If that's the case, I'll give my thanks to the Situ clan in advance. Jian Wushuang flipped his hand and took out an interspatial ring. It contained many resources and treasures he obtained from the Dark Thunder territories, 3 prefectures together with the other clans' gifts he recently received. Situ Yuan briefly glanced into it and nodded after taking the ring. Situ Yuan then took out a message token and gave it to Jian Wushuang. Mr. Jian, this is my message token. If you need any help in the future, please do not hesitate to contact me. I'll also keep you informed about the progress of selling these resources and treasures. Jian Wushuang took the message token and gave it to Xiao Tiexin, who was next to him. Situ Yuan frowned and asked, Mr. Jian, could you introduce me to your companion? Clan leader, Sheener is my younger sister. You can look for her if you need to keep in touch, as I might be in seclusion and won't be reachable at times, explained Jian Wushuang. I see. Situ Yuan nodded. I'll make a move then. Sure. Sheener, can you send the clan leader off? Jian Wushuang asked. Sure. Xiao Tiexin seemed to have accepted her identity as Jian Wushuang's younger sister, Sheener. She nodded and escorted Situ Yuan to the door. Jian Wushuang let out a long sigh after Situ Yuan left. What perfect timing for Situ Yuan to come. Jian Wushuang was pleased. His hands were tied after those clans took the initiative in sending him gifts and could no longer go after them with his lame excuses for primordial stones. He was worried about how he would get more primordial stones until Situ Yuan extended an olive branch. Jian Wushuang was given 100,000 primordial stones on top of obtaining a clan's help to oversee the sale of resources and treasures he had on hand. I have 390,000 primordial stones now, and might have at least 600,000 primordial stones when the Sidhu clan manages to liquidate all my resources and treasures. That'll be more than enough for my breakthrough to the ultimate god realm. Jian Wushuang excitedly rubbed his hands. 1 year. It's for only 1 year. I'll keep a low profile during this year and stop going after these clans. Otherwise, my good reputation will be tarnished. Jian Wushuang rubbed his nose. It was despicable for him to chase after those clans, and he had to stop before being shunned by them. He was relieved the moment he found a way to achieve his goals. Tiexin called Jian Wushuang. Didn't Mr. Jian previously called me Shiner? Why are you calling me Tiexin now? Xiao Tiexin teased. Well, I couldn't have addressed you as Tiexin before the clan leader. What if he figured out your actual identity? Jian Wushuang said. That's a cause for concern. Xiao Tiexin agreed. Tiexin, you're from the Xiao clan, so you probably know best about the situation back then. Are the clan leader's words true? Jian Wushuang asked. It's true. Xiao Tiexin nodded. Among the 4 top-tier clans in the northern Darkstar continent, the Xiao clan and Sidhu clan have always been in bad shape. We use various methods to forge alliances with many experts. However, the Sidhu clan is obviously doing a better job at it. In addition, the Sidhu clan didn't have the stately painting. It was that heavenly treasure that tempted the territorial lord to wipe us out. Although the Sidhu clan is still around, they're walking on thin ice just to preserve themselves. They wouldn't be at such risk if the Sidhu clan is just a mid-tier clan. Jian Wushuang understood what she meant. Sidhu Yuan is indeed sincere if that's the case. I'll be indebted to the Sidhu clan if they help me obtain plenty of primordial stones through proper sales management of my resources and treasures. I'll surely take good care of them when I replace the territorial lord in the future. Jian Wushuang smiled. I'm afraid he'd be over the moon if the clan leader is aware of your true capabilities and plans. It's a big win for the Sidhu clan if he managed to build such a great relationship with you based on only 100,000 primordial stones in favor from their clan. Xiao Tiexin murmured and sighed. Had the Xiao clan been as bold and persistent previously, and made great efforts to forge alliances with powerful experts, perhaps we might have been spared from the attack. Jian Wushuang glanced at Xiao Tiexin and shook his head. Jian Wushuang announced sometime later, I'm planning to head toward my secret chamber for my closed-door cultivation. Don't disturb me if there isn't anything urgent. Chapter 2553. Seclusion inside a secret chamber. Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged with an unfurled scroll floating in front of him. It was none other than the Fengtian scroll. I've currently reached a regular peak divine demon level regardless of my space-time law, transmigration law, or the sword principles understanding. However, I'm still quite a distance away from becoming an Earth ultimate god. Despite the Sidhu clan providing me with enough primordial stones a year later, I'm afraid I won't be confident enough to defeat the Northern Darkstar territorial lord even after making a breakthrough to the ultimate god realm from refining and absorbing those stones. An immense increase to my overall abilities is insufficient so long my laws and sword principles understanding isn't up to par. Jian Wushuang knew very well that even if he had made a breakthrough from peak divine demon to a primary stage ultimate god, it would only reinforce his divine powers and perhaps his secret techniques, as well at most. A cultivator's divine power was not a true reflection of their abilities. Laws and principles understanding, secret techniques, self-creation masterstroke and tactics, and many other factors were also crucial elements which would decide one's capabilities. He unquestionably held an advantage against the Northern Darkstar territorial lord when it came to secret techniques. However, he was still a far cry away in respect to his other abilities. This was especially true for his sword principles. He was in the complete sword principle realm as of then, and would be able to develop his sword world with further progress. Opening up his sword world would be a huge push for his abilities. Jian Wushuang had the first-hand experience of the Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor's sword world, followed by the Ancient Witch's spear world. His abilities were greatly limited when he came under the oppression of principal worlds. The Northern Darkstar territorial lord was an Earth ultimate god, and had probably also developed his principal world. Jian Wushuang would have to open up his sword world to stand a chance of defeating him. Not only do I have to open up a sword world, but I'll also have to upgrade my space-time and transmigration laws understanding. I'll also have to think about establishing my masterstrokes. Well, I'll just do it step by step. Jian Wushuang was in no hurry, as it mattered not if he could not achieve much within a year, since he could just continue his studies. Jian Wushuang very soon began his studies with the assistance of Fengtian Scroll's cosmic mysteries. He was born with high comprehension skills, and his progress was incredibly swift with the help of the Fengtian Scroll. The Northern Darkstar territory clans were relieved following Jian Wushuang's closed-door seclusion. They were worried that Jian Yi would continue looking for trouble with them after accepting their gifts, like what he did with the Yi, Zhang, and Hua clan. However, it seemed that Jian Yi still had some self-respect. The Northern Darkstar territory finally returned to its usual peacefulness since Jian Yi did not take any further actions, and the incident gradually died down. Time ticked by slowly, and 3 months passed in a flash. In the void furthest from the Northern Darkstar continent, whoosh, a figure suddenly appeared. It was a middle-aged man dressed in green. Everything else about him was normal other than his face looked stern while carrying a battle blade on his back. The Northern Darkstar continent. Back. Pei Qi has finally returned to the Northern Darkstar continent after 40,000 years. Ha ha. He let out a burst of maniacal laughter that resonated with heaven and earth like a huge wave that echoed between them for some time. The middle-aged man's laughter gradually dissipated as his facial features began to relax after some time. San Shouwang, you probably never thought I'll return one day, right? The man's voice was cold. You killed my parents, annihilated the entire Pei clan, and chased me out of Northern Darkstar territory 40,000 years ago. I was extremely humiliated and had to tiptoe between life and death for 40,000 years. I've finally reached the same power level as you. I'm currently the strongest possible version of myself, since I've peaked out my abilities in every aspect with no room for further progress. I'll kill you this time. The green-clad middle-aged man arrived at a group of extremely huge barracks along with his bottomless hatred and rage. These barracks were the official army barracks. These barracks were extremely vast and towering, as it was the strongest official army in the Northern Darkstar territory, and also the strongest power under the territorial lord's control. A few soldiers stood like statues at the barracks entrance. A man walked toward the barracks gate, which the soldiers immediately stopped when they saw him approaching. One of the soldiers growled, "Stop, this is the official army barracks. Trespassers will be killed without mercy." The middle-aged man gradually stopped and raised his head to look at the soldiers before emotionlessly saying, "I'm here for a challenge." The soldier frowned. "A challenge? What kind of challenge?" The middle-aged man did not say another word as a terrifying divine power aura suddenly burst out of his body. The divine power aura was suffocatingly strong as it swept in every direction and caused a violent gust of wind to blow everywhere within the void. The few soldiers who were blocking the middle-aged man instantly turned pale as their legs trembled underneath that man's aura. His terrifying divine power aura even swept toward the barracks insides. There were countless experts within the official army, with ultimate gods alone totaling to at least 1,000. During that moment, many soldiers in the barracks, including squad and platoon captains who were at primary stage and advanced stage ultimate gods, instantly felt the aura and were extremely stunned. There were 5 commanders within the barracks, and even the 5 peak ultimate god commanders were also incredibly surprised. That aura belongs to an Earth ultimate god. This Earth ultimate god's divine power aura isn't His Excellency, the Territorial Lords. Who is it from? The aura is being projected from outside the barracks. Let's quickly head there right now. The entire official army barracks descended into a stir. In just a short moment, a large number of official army soldiers, including the commanders and captains, appeared at the barracks entrance. Many pairs of eyes gazed surprisingly at the green-clad middle-aged man. At the same moment, the middle-aged man directly looked back at those soldiers before him. The green-clad middle-aged man's mouth emotionlessly spat out, "I want to challenge the Territorial Lord." The commanders shuddered. They already suspected his reason being here was to challenge the Territorial Lord. However, he would have to pass certain basic tests to certify that he was sufficiently qualified and capable to challenge the Territorial Lord. The tests were very quickly held and settled within the barracks. The green-clad middle-aged man, of course, easily passed all the tests and was deemed qualified to challenge the Territorial Lord. "Go and tell your Territorial Lord will be meeting him in the combat ring 10 days from now. The victor will be the last one standing." He immediately left after leaving behind his message. Chapter 2554. Challenging the Territorial Lord in the secret chamber, Jian Wushuang sunk deeply into his studies. The mystical cosmic mysteries within the Fengtian scroll immensely helped Jian Wushuang. In a short 3-month period, he had made plenty of progress. However, at that moment, Mr. Jian Yi, Xiao Taixin's voice transmitted from outside the secret chamber. She had to use a tiny bit of divine power to breach Jian Wushuang's restrictive shield. Jian Wushuang's studies were immediately interrupted as he instantly woke up, opened his eyes, and frowned. "It's only been 3 months. The Sidhu clan needs more time. What made Tiexin decide to look for me with such urgency?" He exited the secret chamber, feeling puzzled. Jian Wushuang saw Xiao Tiexin outside the chamber. "I'm sorry to interrupt, Mr. Jian." Xiao Tiexin bowed slightly at Jian Wushuang. "What happened, Tiexin?" Jian Wushuang asked. Xiao Tiexin carefully spoke. "Something of utmost importance has occurred. Someone's challenging the Territorial Lord." "Oh." Jian Wushuang's curiosity was piqued. Challenging the Territorial Lord. As a Star Territories Lord, the Territorial Lord was in control of a powerful official army, which made him the territory's absolute warlord. However, a Territorial Lord's position was obtained through power. This meant that, as long as one was capable enough, they could challenge the incumbent Territorial Lord. The Northern Dark Star Territorial Lord was really powerful. However, there had been 3 Earth ultimate gods who challenged him ever since he rose into that position, and all of them were defeated with 2 being killed on the spot by him. Due to that reason, no one truly dared to challenge the Northern Dark Star Territorial Lord. Even those newly ascended Earth ultimate gods within the Northern Dark Star territory would normally choose to leave the territory and seek their paths in other territories. Who was so fearless to challenge the Northern Dark Star Territorial Lord? "Who's the challenger?" Jian Wushuang asked. "I don't know." Xiao Tiexin shook her head. "I only know he's an Earth ultimate god, who easily passed all the official army's tests, and fulfilled those criteria to challenge the Territorial Lord. Besides that, no one knows anything about him. He left behind a message after passing the tests saying that he would meet the Northern Dark Star Territorial Lord in the combat ring, and only one of them will survive." He wants to determine the winner through a death match. Jian Wushuang's pupils contracted. Did the territorial lord answer his challenge? Not only did he answer, but their battle will commence in 3 days. That's why I came looking for you. It's a battle between two Earth ultimate gods after all, and the Northern Darkstar territorial lord personally accepted the challenge. I thought you'd be interested in watching the fight, said Xiao Tiexin. I'm indeed very interested in watching these twos fight. Jian Wushuang firmly nodded. Earth ultimate gods. Jian Wushuang had not seen an Earth ultimate god experts fight before, and had no idea how strong their battle prowess would be. In addition, it would be a fight with the Northern Darkstar territorial lord. The biggest reason Jian Wushuang stayed at Northern Darkstar territory was to challenge him to obtain the territorial lord's position on top of his most precious treasure, the stately painting. However, he knew nothing of the Northern Darkstar territorial lord's true abilities. How could he miss such a perfect opportunity with an Earth ultimate god's arrival to challenge the territorial lord? 3 days later, Jian Wushuang was really looking forward to it. 3 days quickly passed. The combat ring was a boundless battlefield. In such a ring, even a heaven ultimate god and grand ultimate god could freely move around without worries and fight, not to mention Earth ultimate gods. As long as there was a highly anticipated duel within the Northern Darkstar continent, it would be hosted at the combat ring. At that moment, countless people gathered together in the void around the combat ring. There were a few million people present. The outcome was inevitable, as a territorial lord's challenge was a rare event that could only be witnessed every several 10,000 years. As soon as word got out, countless cultivators and clans from all over were excited by the news. Naturally, this meant there was no end to the number of cultivators who came to witness the battle. The Northern Darkstar continent's clans, the top 3 Shi, Wu, and Situ clan, the small and medium-sized clans, had many clan members who joined in to watch. There were plenty of experts around. Other than that, the official army deployed almost all their personnel as well to tightly surround the entire combat ring, and also set up a restrictive shield to prevent people from running into the ring while those two Earth ultimate gods were battling. This was to ensure no unforeseen circumstances would happen. Under the 10 commanders' leadership, the official army kept the crowd in order with nobody having the nerves to create any troubles. Whoosh, whoosh, Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexin were gliding over from afar, before being stunned by the crowd surrounding them upon their arrival at the void next to the combat ring. That's a lot of people. Xiao Tiexin could not resist exclaiming. However, Jian Wushuang was very calm. In his past life, he had seen plenty of grander sights. There are so many people that we can't even find a closer place to observe the battle. What should we do? Xiao Tiexin frowned. Didn't you keep clan leader Citus' message token? You can send him a message and ask for 2 seats, said Jian Wushuang. Ah, that's true. Xiao Tiexin immediately took out the message token. The Situ clan very soon sent an expert over who led Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexin to the void where the remaining Situ clan's experts were located. The Situ clan was a top-tier clan, and the place they were watching the battle was without a doubt one of the closest to the combat ring, allowing them to witness everything happening in the battle. Haha, I haven't seen Mr. Jian Yi for 3 months. You haven't changed the slightest. Situ Yuan stood up and welcomed Jian Wushuang upon seeing his arrival. Many Situ clan's experts also stood up and acted humbly toward him. Although Jian Wushuang was a high-level ultimate god, everyone knew he was equipped with a peak ultimate god's battle prowess and possessed great potential. Nobody dared to cross an expert like him. Clan leader Situ, you're really too kind. Jian Wushuang returned the courtesy. Mr. Jian Yi, please sit here. Situ Yuan waved his hand, and a towering chair appeared next to him. Jian Wushuang did not even hesitate to sit down. Many cultivators around them were perplexed upon seeing the sight before them. Who's that young man? How can he's positioning himself at the same level as the Situ clan leader? I have no idea, but he's not an ordinary person if the Situ clan treated him as such. I know this guy. His name's Jian Yi, the recently emerged blood gladiator in the northern Darkstar continent. He became a blood gladiator at the early stage ultimate god realm. A blood gladiator. Everybody around suddenly realized who he was the moment his name was mentioned. Chapter 2555. Pei Qi and San Shouwang. I heard that Mr. Jian Yi sought trouble from quite a few clans and forced them to provide him with a lot of primordial stones. I've heard about that too. Moreover, I heard his tactics aren't so honorable. The world respects ability above all else. What's this honorable nonsense? The void was filled with discussions, with some even heard by Jian Wushuang, but he ignored them at that moment. His eyes were focused on the center of the combat ring toward the motionless green-clad middle-aged man, standing with a battle blade on his back with his cold expression. Is he the Earth ultimate god who challenged the Northern Darkstar territorial lord? Jian Wushuang squinted slightly. Although there was a certain distance on top of a restrictive shield layer between them, Jian Wushuang could still feel an incredible amount of pressure from the green-clad middle-aged man. His pressure was many times stronger than the Infernal Heart Prefecture governors who had opened up a sword world. So this is an Earth ultimate god. Jian Wushuang started looking forward to the battle. The various clans and countless cultivators were all quietly waiting. They did not wait long as, boom, a huge wave of divine power suddenly swept open, a figure gradually emerging from the distant void. It was a big man who was clad in beast skin. His skin was dark, while his face and arms were hairy, just like a brown bear. A violent aura was covering every inch of his being. His far above peak ultimate god's immense divine power aura had already recklessly pressed forward before his physical Bodhis arrival. The divine power aura pressed against the entire combat ring, including the countless audiences around it. Every cultivator who was below the ultimate god realm turned pale and trembling under the repression. Some of them could not even stand still and immediately crouched or knelt. Among those ultimate gods, primary-level ultimate gods were trembling, while high-level ultimate gods held on better, with only their faces turned slightly pale. Only peak ultimate gods could more or less withstand the divine power aura's repression, but even they showed a solemn expression. Northern Darkstar, Territorial Lord. It's His Excellency the Territorial Lord. He's here. So he is the undisputed first-ranked expert of the Northern Darkstar territory. Countless eyes looked on with utmost respect and fear at the bear-like man who slowly walked over. Jian Wushuang squinted when he stared at him. The latter's aura of chaos and violence even made him slightly fearful. As for Xiao Tiexin, who was next to Jian Wushuang, her body began to tremble when she saw the Northern Darkstar territorial lord's appearance. She did not tremble because of his divine power aura, but from her immense hatred, an absolute hatred. Tiexin. Jian Wushuang slightly gazed at Xiao Tiexin. Xiao Tiexin paused and forced herself to immediately calm down. They were, after all, right there under the territorial lord's nose, not to mention the many surrounding people and experts. Xiao Tiexin's hatred would be easily detected if she was being too obvious. At that moment, the bear-like man had appeared standing right in front of the green-clad middle-aged man in the combat ring. The green-clad man opened his eyes as killing intent began to beam in his eyes and swept into the heavens. Sen Shouwang, I finally met you again. The green-clad man's voice was ice-cold. Sen Shouwang. The countless audiences around were stunned. Some who knew said, "The Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord is only his title, and anyone who becomes the future Territorial Lord will also be addressed as such." However, San Shouwang is the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord's real name. I heard our Territorial Lord used to be a thief, hence his extremely wild personality and cruel tactics. I wonder if it's true. Looks like this green-clad gentleman has some beef with His Excellency. Everyone began to discuss. In the center of the combat ring, the bear-like Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord, who was also known as Sen Shouwang, looked surprisingly at the green-clad middle-aged man. "Looks like we do share a history, if you know my real name. Who are you?" The green-clad man frostily said, Pei Chi. Pei Chi. San Shouwang's expression twitched before immediately shook his head. "Never heard of you." "Of course, but you surely remembered the Pei clan?" Pei Chi shouted, "The Pei clan." San Shouwang immediately understood. "You're from the Pei clan?" "Pei clan." Many clans around the ring immediately began to exclaim. So he is from the Pei clan. No wonder he has such deep hatred against the Northern Darkstar Territorial Lord. Situ Yuan nodded to himself. "Clan leader Situ, what's the deal with the Pei clan?" Jian Wushuang asked. Situ Yuan explained. "You see, the Pei clan used to be a very powerful mid-tier clan in the Northern Darkstar continent in terms of capabilities and foundation. They were one of the most powerful clans among the continent's many mid-tier clans, and were not too far behind when compared to top-tier clans like us. However, 40,000 years ago, the Pei clan unintentionally crossed the Territorial Lord. The furious Territorial Lord slaughtered the entire Pei clan, and only a few escaped the killing among a large number of clansmen, while the rest were killed. The Territorial Lord issued an order to track them down and kill the ones who escaped. The official army mobilized its personnel in grandeur to search of the remaining Pei clansmen and killed them. The Pei clan was finally considered destroyed, with their end comparable to the Shao clan. Unexpectedly, there's someone from the Pei clan who survived the killings, made a breakthrough to become an Earth ultimate god, and came back to seek revenge." "I see." Jian Wushuang finally understood. "Sen Shouwang." Pei Chi's hateful voice resonated between heaven and earth. "You slaughtered the Pei clan, dispatched the official army to track and kill all remaining Pei clansmen 40,000 years ago. I was able to survive that pursuit by sheer luck and went through hell to stay alive. For 40,000 years, there was never a moment I've ever forgotten these deep grudges. I've finally stepped into the Earth Ultimate God realm and possess the ability to challenge you now. Today, I'll avenge the whole Pei clan. Only one of us will live in this fight." Pei Chi's roar could shake the heavens. Anybody could feel the boundless hatred and killing intent from his words. They could also understand how he felt. It was the grudge of his entire clan's annihilation, after all. "Haha, one of us will live. Sounds grand, but a pity though. Do you think you have such capabilities?" San Shouwang's beast-like eyes stared at Pei Chi, while his face beamed with a mysterious grin. Chapter 2556. Battle of the Earth Ultimate Gods. 1. Save your words. Let's fight. Pei Chi roared with his battle blade, instantly unsheathed as a powerful blade essence surged. Broom, boom, boom, a wall of divine power swept outwards, which shook heaven and earth. Whoosh! Pei Chi's body suddenly moved mysteriously and was already standing in front of Sen Shouwang when he appeared again. At the same time, his battle blade lashed out 3 strokes of incredibly sharp fleeting lights that were ruthlessly cutting open the air they passed by. Sen Shouwang sneered without moving even half a step. However, there was a ball of terrifying energy gathering in his palm. Boom! An assertive barbaric punch burst outward and collided head-on with the 3 streaks of fleeting lights. The fleeting lights fell apart with a loud bam as San Shuang's huge fist clashed against Pei Qi's battle blade at a stalemate. However, an invisible collision wave swept up just as they made contact. The collision wave expanded outward violently at a terrifying speed. Broom, boom, boom. In an instant, the entire combat ring fell into a horrible windstorm as countless pebbles were swept by it. Jian Wushuang, various clans experts, and those cultivators present stood watching in silence outside the ring. The audience was unaffected due to the restrictive shield on the ring's edge blocking the collision waves originating from those incredible explosive powers in the combat ring. However, the observers could still sense the incredible heart-pounding energies from within the combat ring. They are truly worthy to be called Earth Ultimate Gods. Just their divine power energy alone is not something a peak ultimate god can endure. Jian Wushuang told himself. An Earth Ultimate God's divine was already at least 10 times more powerful than a peak ultimate god. What was the concept of being 10 times more powerful? It meant that an Earth Ultimate God could easily crush a peak ultimate god with just his divine powers without using any special tactic or laws. The gap between an Earth Ultimate God and a regular ultimate god was simply too far apart. Pei Qi and San Shuang finally separated in the combat ring. However, Pei Qi charged forward again in the next instant. Sharp lights were shining from his eyes and battle blade, the blade of fleeting light. Splash! A colorful beam of fleeting light, as though pouring from the stars above, broke out. It immediately charged at San Shuang upon its appearance, as its colorful lights caught everyone's attention. What a joke! San Shuang scoffed and grinned upon seeing that, and immediately began gathering a surging of energy in his right palm. Boom! Another heaven-shattering barbaric punch was released. Such was San Shuang's incredibly barbaric and ruthless style. It mattered not how beautiful one's move looked. A punch was all he needed. If one punch were not enough, then he would release 2 punches. Bam! Another loud collision had slightly shaken San Shuang's body, but the beautiful fleeting light immediately fell apart at that very instant. However, a ghastly figure suddenly appeared amidst the fleeting light, which was falling apart. Pei Qi's eyes were cold and emotionless as killing intent surged violently from his body before stabbing his battle blade forward. The blade of darkness. Ring. A beam of black light flashed like a bolt of dark lightning. It sliced through the void in the blink of an eye and shot right at San Shuang with terrifying powers. The black light was too fast and close to San Shuang, such that even San Shuang did not have time to block the attack with his fist from such a short distance. Bam! Heaven and earth were shaken by it as infinite black lights containing the power to garrote shrouded the void around San Shuang and attacked ruthlessly. Did he succeed? Don't tell me His Excellency is defeated. The countless cultivators observing outside the combat ring widened their eyes. It isn't so easy. Jian Wushuang intensely frowned. A brown bear-like figure once again appeared at the same spot after the black lights dispersed as he expected. San Shuang remained indifferent, with his body covered in a deep purple energy layer that shrouded his entire physique like armor. The black light attacks a moment ago were completely blocked by that deep purple armor. That is the divine armor of destruction. I hear that only when one's destruction law understanding is at an extremely high level could they form an armor merely with destruction powers. The formed armor has a terrifying defensive power. His Excellency's understanding of the destruction law is way too profound. Mr. Pei Qi's attack just now couldn't even break open his armor of destruction, despite being so powerful. Countless people exclaimed. so long no one could break the divine armor of destruction apart upon its formation. San Shouwang was practically invincible. Pei Qi, your ability has to be a lot higher than this as an Earth ultimate god. Show me what you've got, otherwise it's no fun. San Shouwang opened his jaw and grinned. Pei Qi squinted with a serious expression. As expected, you can't be killed with normal means. Well then, ring. Infinite blade essences surged, immediately shrouded the entire combat ring, and formed a gigantic blade world. Pei Qi had certainly developed his very own principal world as an Earth ultimate god, and he finally unleashed it at that moment. Infinite blade essence filled heaven and earth, with Pei Qi as the master of that particular principal world. Jian Wushuang murmured. He activated his principal world. Looks like he's serious this time. The many experts around exclaimed in surprise. They then realized that the battle had only just begun. Pei Qi formed his principal world. The Northern Dark Star, territorial, Lord, naturally must have formed his own too. Situ Yuan remarked at the side. Just as he predicted, another gigantic world had soon been activated after Pei Qi unleashed his principal world. It was San Shouwang's incredibly huge principal world with its power comparable to Pei Qi's blade world in every way. Both principal worlds began clashing in the combat ring, but neither could damage the other. A violent aura surged from San Shouwang's body right at that moment as another thick layer of halo burst out over his divine armor of destruction. San Shouwang's expression was cold with his extremely frosty eyes. Boom! San Shouwang suddenly paced forward as his figure moved. San Shouwang had only been passively taking Pei Qi's attacks since the beginning without taking any initiative to attack. However, he had finally started taking the offensive side. Unlike before, his power was enough to shake heaven and earth as soon as he attacked. San Shouwang's expression turned ferocious as the halo, which shrouded his bodice surface, completely turning him into a vicious beast. Chapter 2557, Battle of the Earth Ultimate Gods. 2. Beast King Transformation Incarnate. The extremely ferocious beast that San Shouwang had turned into pounced forward with terrifying momentum. The fist, which had condensed incredible powers, lashed toward Pei Qi like the sharp claws of a beast. Pei Qi was in full concentration and also triggered his divine body the moment San Shouwang made a move. Right after, his divine body suddenly grew 5 meters tall into a small hill. His aura had also risen a lot following the swift growth of his divine body. He was performing a very powerful secret technique. After that, a strong glare shot out of his eyes as his battle blade was shrouded by a layer of crimson-colored light. The blade of blood deity. Boom, boom, boom. The huge volume of blood mist gushed out and flooded the surroundings into a huge blood ocean. Pei Qi's 5-meter-tall blood-red blood deity figure waved the battle blade in his hands as it clashed with the ferocious beast that was pouncing him. Bang! Heaven and earth trembling hard as infinite airwaves sweeping across. The two principal worlds began to shake violently. San Shouwang's ferocious beast form bounced and flew backward. Pei Qi's 5-meter-tall blood deity form had also stumbled a few steps backward before standing still again. Haha, you have some skills. San Shouwang laughed heartily as the aura of violence once again swept over. It's time to end this. Pei Qi stared frostily at San Shouwang. It'll surely take your life with this next move. Well, let's see who's more skillful then. San Shouwang roared deeply as well. Incredible amounts of divine powers were violently gathering toward both their bodies. They were accumulating energies. Is there going to be a verdict? The final and also most powerful clash. This collision will decide their fate. I wonder who will survive in the end. The experts outside the combat ring held their breaths, as hardly anyone blinked from worries that they would miss the coming-up clash. Even Jian Wushuang had his eyes glued to the ring. Both Earth Ultimate Gods had maximized their divine power accumulation inside the combat ring. San Shouwang was the first to attack. His figure expanded as scales began forming on the surface. Previously, it was his divine powers that simulated a ferocious beast, but at that moment scales began covering his entire body and had truly turned him into a ferocious armored beast with deep purple scales. The beast turned into a streak of purple shadow and swiftly pounced forward. Beast King Fury. San Shouwang's purple beast form let out a furious heaven-shaking roar that resonated in the combat ring. That roar has sonic attacks embedded. No, not just that, but also soul attacks as well, and both are very powerful. Jian Wushuang's expression turned gloomy. However, Pei Qi remained calm when he heard the roar. He slapped his chest. Bam! 3 drops of blood essence shot out at the same time. Pei Qi's aura had simultaneously and immediately shrunk a great deal, such that even his face turned pale. However, the battle blade he held was glowing with brighter and more beautiful crimson lights than before. My fate, the grudge of many Pei clansmen, my 40,000 years of hard work, and everything else will depend on this single strike. It's either him or me. Pei Qi mumbled as he held the battle blade and raised it high with both his hands. Bloody deity slaughters heaven. Vroom! The boundless blood ocean violently crashed as Pei Qi's eyes were filled with the craze. The blood deity he formed waved its battle blade downward. As soon as the blade struck, a crimson blade light that could split heaven and earth immediately formed and swept outward. As the crimson blade light appeared, its terrifying energy turned the surrounding blood ocean into steam. San Shouwang's purple beast form did not waste a second as it charged directly at the crimson blade light with infinite ferocity and sneered as he did so. Ring! The 2 principal worlds that were violently pressing against each other began to tremble. The 2 principal worlds were initially even leveled, with none able to win over the other. However, San Shouwang's principal world's energy for some reason suddenly and radically surged. In the blink of an eye, it kept pushing back Pei Qi's principal world. Some energies went through and began affecting Pei Qi. What? The audience was shocked. Pei Qi's principal world is being directly repressed. Jian Wushuang was stunned as well. The sudden repression of the principal world even caught Pei Qi by surprise. However, the situation had occurred, and he could not allow himself to give way. Finally, the purple beast barbarically clashed head-on with the Pei Qi's crimson blade light with its powerful energies. The beast directly collided with the blade light. At the same moment the collision took place, the crimson blade light immediately turned dim and terrifying energy exploded. Boom, boom, boom. Infinite amounts of divine powers were violently swept in all directions. The divine power shrouded the entire battlefield and brought forth a massive divine power storm. Pei Qi and San Shouwang were in the eye of the storm and giving all they had to outplay each other. The cultivators surrounding the combat ring could no longer see what was happening within the ring. They could only wait for the divine power storm to die down and for the final result to present itself. The divine power storm persisted for a long time before it began to gradually break apart. The storm disappeared completely after a while, and the 2 figures within were once again visible. San Shouwang had once again reverted into his human form, and so did Pei Qi's divine body. Ah! San Shouwang spat out a gulp of fresh blood with a pale face. The deep purple divine destruction armor that shrouded him had cracked open, that even his protective armor had a clear white mark, a blade strike mark. The blade strike had broken through the divine destruction armor, landed on his protective armor, and left him severely injured. However, though San Shuang's aura was a lot weaker, he was still very much alive. As for Pei Qi did not show any superficial injuries, nor marks. However, blood started streaming out of his eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. Pei Qi's eyes were bright red and staring deadly at San Shuang. "I won't give in," Pei Qi growled. However, the signs of life had completely vanished after his growl as his divine body lifelessly limped and toppled forward. "Didi dead? An Earth ultimate god has just died like this." All the experts observing the battle from outside the combat ring were shocked. Chapter 2558. Hiding his abilities, although Jian Wushuang appeared to be sitting there calmly, his expression was very serious with a slight frown. He first looked at Pei Qi's corpse, then at San Shuang, and frowned even harder. Even though this Pei Qi guy did not seem externally injured, his internal organs have completely broken into pieces despite being a true Earth ultimate god. He also has all sorts of protective means defending his body when San Shuang collides with him. However, he utilized his defensive tactics to break Pei Qi's internal organs into shreds after dissolving Pei Qi's blade light. That energy must be Jian Wushuang was secretly shocked. San Shuang. Even though Pei Qi's blade struck open the divine destruction armor on his bodice surface and caused some harm to his divine body, it isn't enough to make him puke blood and weaken his aura to that point. If I'm not mistaken, San Shuang's blood puking and aura decrease are nothing but an act. He's been hiding his true abilities. Jian Wushuang felt heavy at heart. Hiding his abilities. Yes, San Shuang had been hiding his abilities. He had been deliberately hiding his true abilities not only in the battle where he killed Pei Qi, but also in the 3 prior challenges. As for his motive, it was simply because he wanted to put on an act in front of everyone by giving them the false assumption that his abilities were not flawless and probably just slightly above a regular Earth ultimate god. In this way, he could attract more Earth ultimate gods to challenge him, destroy them one by one, and steal their treasures. At that very moment, almost everyone on the scene, including those peak ultimate gods, thought that San Shuang had suffered some injuries even though he had killed Pei Qi. However, that thought could not be further from the truth. This guy, Jian Wushuang, was not happy. Sooner or later, he was going to challenge San Shuang after all. However, his true abilities were far from his imagination. In the combat ring, San Shuang took away Pei Qi's interspatial ring and all of his other treasures before waving his hand and immediately destroyed Pei Qi's body. After that, San Shuang looked over at the few official army commanders and said, "I'm quite badly injured this time and need to enter a retreat for a while to recover. I won't accept any more challenges within 1,000 years." "Yes, sir." The official army commanders nodded heavily. San Shuang left in a flash. Following San Shuang's departure, the millions of audiences outside the combat ring began to stir. Too powerful. His Excellency the Territorial Lord is really too powerful. That Mr. Pei Qi was also a very powerful Earth ultimate god, but was still killed. His Excellency is invincible within the Northern Dark Star territory. Invincible, invincible. Many cultivators began shouting in a frenzy. Jian Wushuang slowly stood up at the Sidu clan seats. "Mr. Jian, are you ready to return home?" Situ Yuan immediately stood up. "Yes, I learn a lot from today's battle and should return home and begin cultivating as well." Jian Wushuang smiled. "Farewell then. By the way, we started converting those resources, and progress is pretty good." Situ Yuan smiled. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and left with Xiao Tiexin. On the way back, Xiao Tiexin asked, Mr. Jian Yi, what are your thoughts about today's battle? Jian Wushuang directly answered, both Pei Qi and the territorial lord, San Shouwang, were very powerful. Their battle prowess was truly worthy of Earth ultimate gods, but San Shouwang is a lot scarier than Pei Qi. A lot scarier? Xiao Tiexin was confused. I thought San Shouwang was severely injured by Pei Qi. They aren't that far apart in terms of abilities, right? Haha. Jian Wushuang laughed before briefly telling her his observations. Hiding his abilities, San Shouwang's injury was a deliberate act. Xiao Tiexin was shocked. Jian Wushuang said, indeed, his true ability is a lot stronger than what we saw. Pei Qi had died in vain. If he earlier knew about San Shouwang's hidden abilities, he won't even dare challenge him. However, his death isn't worthless. At least, it has made me more aware of San Shouwang and helped me gain a more thorough understanding of San Shouwang's abilities. If I'm capable in the future, it'll help him avenge the Pei clan and won't forget about the Xiao clan too. Xiao Tiexin nodded lightly. Even though Jian Wushuang made that promise, he also knew very well that his abilities were still a far cry from San Shouwang. He would even have difficulty withstanding Pei Qi, not to mention San Shouwang. Jian Wushuang mumbled, let's go back and continue seclusion training. Observing the two Earth ultimate gods battle is of immense help to my cultivation. He very soon returned to his residence and continued his retreat. At the same time, the territorial lord residence's gigantic underground palace was surrounded by layers of restrictive shields, with the northern Darkstar territorial lord, San Shouwang, sitting alone in lotus style. However, his pale expression and incredibly weak aura shown only a while ago at the combat ring were at that moment as strong as before, with no trace of having suffered any injuries. He had an extremely indifferent look on his face. As Jian Wushuang speculated, the injuries and blood puking were all an act. Even those words he spoke to the commanders about him not accepting any more challenges in 1,000 years were something he deliberately said. He did not suffer even a bit of injury. An interspatial ring floated before him. It was the one Pei Qi left behind after his death. Ha! Pei Qi really did not disappoint. He wandered alone outside of the territory, became an Earth ultimate god, and accumulated so many treasures in his interspatial ring on top of many primordial stones. I only annihilated the Xiao clan not long ago and obtained a great amount of wealth, including the stately painting, and I've now acquired all of Pei Qi's treasures. The total amount of wealth I've accumulated is quite handsome, and am not so far from achieving the Divine Destructive Beast's 4th volume. Divine Destructive Beast was a powerful secret technique that San Shouwang had been cultivating. In the battle with Pei Qi, the incredibly powerful secret technique had unleashed such terrifying power despite not even in its complete form. All those years, San Shouwang tried every method to gather resources and wealth to advance his divine destructive beast secret technique. At that moment, he had cultivated the secret technique's first 3 volumes, and soon the 4th volume would be within his reach. Who should I obtain the remaining primordial stones from? Should I simply find a mid-tier clan, or should I seek the Sidhu clan? San Shouwang began to ponder. Chapter 2559. Ultimate God, realm time, flowed swiftly like the waters. A year had passed. Mr. Jian, clan leader Sidhu, is here. Xiao Tiexin passed a message. In the secret chamber, Jian Wushuang immediately opened up his eyes. Is that so? Jian Wushuang smiled and left the secret chamber right away. Mr. Jian, Sidhu Yuan was still as humble and polite. It's the 1-year deadline, and looks like clan leader Sidhu has brought me good tidings, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. I'm glad that we did not fail on your request. Mr. Jian Yi, we've sold 90% of your resources, while the Sidhu clan have purchased the remaining 10. The final accumulated primordial stones are at 210,000 pieces, which are all kept in this interspatial ring. Please have a look. Situ Yuan passed an interspatial ring to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was overjoyed upon receiving the ring and carefully counted. Mr. Jian Yi, truthfully, those resources are worth more than 240,000. You could have received 270,000 or even 280,000 primordial stones had we employed certain strategies to liquidate them, but we sold them for you as soon as possible since you're in urgent need of primordial stones, said Situ Yuan. I'm quite happy with 210,000 pieces. You have my gratitude, clan leader. I shall remember this forever, said Jian Wushuang. Ha, you're too polite, Mr. Jian Yi. This is only a small matter. Don't worry about it. Situ Yuan lightly smiled. Mr. Jian Yi, I shall say farewell if there isn't anything other matters. Safe journeys. Jian Wushuang personally sent off Situ Yuan. After a while, Jian Wushuang went back inside. Liquidating these resources has gotten me 210,000 primordial stones, and if I add on the 390,000 pieces with me, that's a total of 600,000. Jian Wushuang tightly held his fists together. 600,000 primordial stones was enough for him to make a breakthrough into the ultimate god realm. It was even sufficient for him to upgrade his divine power a little after making his breakthrough. Jian Wushuang immediately returned to his secret chamber and began to refine the primordial stones without any hesitation. He could not wait to make his breakthrough into the ultimate god realm. Inside the secret chamber, Jian Wushuang took out all his primordial stones, which piled up the entire chamber. A terrifying power of absorption began soon after. Jian Wushuang had previously spent almost 2 months to refine just 160,000 primordial stones obtained from the Shi clan. He would need at least 6 months for the entire 600,000 pieces. However, Jian Wushuang did not mind spending half a year doing so. Although Pei Qi's challenge caused quite a stir in the northern Darkstar continent, with his death causing even bigger stimulation. However, the stir gradually calmed, and the continent had returned to its previous peacefulness as time passed. Another half a year had passed under such peacefulness. In the secret chamber, Jian Wushuang had absorbed divine powers from the last primordial stone. After a while, a sharp light glowed from within as he opened his eyes. Primary stage ultimate god. This is the power that an ultimate god possesses. Jian Wushuang tightly held his fists together and felt the divine power surge in his body. The divine power was not too much broader than when he was at the peak divine demon level. However, the crux was that it became way more powerful. A huge gap exists between the divine demon realm and ultimate god realm, and that made all the difference. My divine power's strength is probably comparable to regular Earth ultimate gods the moment I've reached ultimate god realm, while those secret techniques I've learned have also gotten quite an upgrade, mumbled Jian Wushuang to himself. He did not leave his seclusion right away. Instead, he continued to cultivate his secret techniques. Once he became an ultimate god, he could start upgrading his secret techniques by leaps and bounds. For example, he could begin studying the Primordial Void, Celestial Bodhis 3rd volume. The same could be said for the 2nd volume of 7 Stars' secret technique. As for the Divine God of Punishment secret technique, he had reached its 2nd stage not too long ago, making it impossible to reach the 3rd stage in a short time. However, his god shadow form could be upgraded slightly. In the meantime, it was not easy for him to have already reached the golden armor in his 9 Sparkle Star armor. Hence, there was no way he could upgrade it anytime soon. It took another 6 months for him to finally finish cultivating his secret techniques. Such was also because he had perfect, comprehensive, and fast understanding skills. A normal cultivator would have needed a very long time to study and cultivate such powerful secret techniques. Some people had to spend a few hundred years studying one secret technique, while it was not surprising either for others to spend even a few thousand years. In Jian Wushuang's past life, some people would spend ages studying a secret technique, such as emperor by being the typical example. However, it was as such because the cultivation conditions in his past life were limited. In his ancient god domain's current life, the needed time to cultivate a secret technique would not take as long as Emperor Bai. It took only a total of 1 year, with half a year spent absorbing primordial stones, and the other half cultivating secret techniques. I'm currently comparable to regular Earth ultimate gods in terms of divine power. My divine power would become even stronger than San Shou Wang if I used my secret techniques, while my understanding of space-time law and transmigration law has achieved a major upgrade from the Fengtian Scrolls assistants these days. I can now more or less be comparable to the level of a regular Earth ultimate god, especially when it comes to space-time law. I'm not weaker than San Shou Wang in terms of divine power and law understanding, while my secret techniques can overtake San Shou Wang. My only shortcoming right now is sword principle. Jian Wushuang mumbled. In his recent cultivation, his understanding of the sword principle had greatly improved and was only a step from developing his sword world. However, that step was a huge leap to take. San Shou Wang was someone who had fully developed his principal world to the extent of his principal world ultimately crushed Pei Qi's principal world in the battle. In other words, San Shou Wang's principal world was incredibly overbearing. In such a situation, Jian Wushuang would be at a great disadvantage unless he could develop his sword world to counter it. Sword world. Jian Wushuang meditated as his mind suddenly shifted. A surging sword essence swept out and formed a huge sword world, which shrouded the entire secret chamber. Beams of sword essence filled every corner of the chamber. Jian Wushuang did not feel happy at all. Just like Fan Jianxian, I could easily build a sword world frame. A model, if you will, but that's only an empty shell without a core. The concept of a real sword world is completely different altogether, thought Jian Wushuang to himself. Chapter 2560. Visit from an old friend. The sword world had to be developed within oneself. It was a world that belonged to that individual. However, what he displayed was merely a forcefully built frame using sword essences. Just like building a house. What good would it do if there was only a wooden outline without bricks and clay to fill it up? I've been pondering a lot about Sword World, but am still missing something that allows me to really develop one. If I keep cultivating as such, it'll probably need a long time to truly understand and develop a real Sword World. Looks like you'll need some external help. Jian Wushuang squinted as he thought of someone. Dark Thunder Territory's first-ranked expert, the Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor. The governor was the first expert Jian Wushuang met who was able to form a complete sword world. Jian Wushuang deliberately stayed back in the Dark Thunder Territory to fight him just so he could grasp the sense of a sword world. Unfortunately, his ability was too weak at that time, and he was not a compatible opponent for the Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor. Furthermore, he was a bit worried about consequences, as it was after all the 18 prefectures' turf. Hence, he did not dare stay long and could not get a very good grasp. However, he was at a bottleneck trying to form Sword World at that moment, and he could finally seek the governor and force him to fight once again. Perhaps he still could not grasp a complete ideal of the sword world the second time to form his own, but he had a feeling it would at least help his sword principle by quite a bit. Jian Wushuang broke out of his seclusion with that thought in mind. Tixin, I need to go back to Dark Thunder Territory again. It won't take long, So just stay here in the northern Darkstar continent and wait for me, said Jian Wushuang. Aye. Xiao Tieshi nodded. Jian Wushuang then set off to the Dark Thunder territory. A month later, Jian Wushuang arrived at Dark Thunder territory's central area. It was a place infested with thieves and criminals. Although the thieves in the Dark Thunder territory were shocked by the annihilation of Demonic Moon, Heaven Poison, and Underworld prefectures, they were not in fear. Dark Thunder territory was still a paradise for thieves and criminals. The rest of the 15 prefectures were still the territory's overlords. The Infernal Heart Prefecture's headquarters was located within a titanic mountain, and since their governor was the undisputed first-ranked expert in Dark Thunder territory, they were the strongest prefecture among the 15 prefectures under his leadership. Countless palace chambers and penthouses were erected on the mountainside. At the mountain peak were a few large halls and the voices of many thieves resonating from within. A golden-robed young man with a long sword on his back appeared in the void in front of this mountain. Jian Wushuang looked down at the Infernal Heart Prefecture's quarters with his arms folded and said, "Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor, your old friend is here." His voice resonated, bounced back and forth between mountains, and transmitted into the ears of the thieves at the peak. The entire prefecture's quarters was quickly stirred. The governor's old friend? Who could that be? Who's here? Many figures flew into the void above. Countless pairs of eyes looked at Jian Wushuang. This guy looks familiar, golden robe with a long sword on his back. That's right. The portrait. I've seen his portrait. Jian Yi, it's him. The expert Jian Yi, who single-handedly destroyed Demonic Moon, Heaven Poison, and Underworld Prefecture. Jian Wushuang had enjoyed quite a bit of fame in the northern Darkstar continent. All the 15 prefectures had their respective tightly organized intelligence network, and they naturally had his portrait as well as knew of his name. His identity caused a big stir in the entire Infernal Heart Prefecture. It was understandable, as Jian Yi was the terrifying existence that brought them down to 15 prefectures. Moreover, he was being pursued by the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor before leaving the Dark Thunder territory, and his return to the prefecture was not a visitation but for revenge. "Jian Yi, what are you doing in our prefecture's quarters?" Someone growled. It was a high-level ultimate god's voice with an extremely strong aura who ranked right below the governor in the prefecture. "I'm here to look for the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor and have a gathering for old times' sake. Why isn't he at home?" Jian Wushuang scanned the thieves before him and could not see the governor among them. The governor would perhaps have come out to meet him instead of sending a high-level ultimate god representative if he was at the quarter. "Our governor has gone to Green Flame Prefecture not long ago and hasn't returned yet," said the high-level ultimate god. "Green Flame Prefecture." "Huh?" Jian Wushuang answered. Green Flame Prefecture was the second strongest among the 18 prefectures after Infernal Heart Prefecture, who also had a peak ultimate god governor. Jian Wushuang answered, "That's all right. I'll wait for him here." Our governor went for a gathering with the Green Flame Prefecture governor, and looks like he'll stay there for quite a while. It could be up to a year if he's in the mood. Why don't you come back again? Or maybe you can go find him at Green Flame Prefecture, said the high-level ultimate god. "No need. Send him a message and ask him to come back right away. Just say that I'll wait 3 days for him. If he doesn't show up in 3 days, the Infernal Heart Prefecture will cease to exist," said Jian Wushuang leisurely. Although he said it leisurely, thieves gasped in fear when they heard his words. They did not doubt the abilities and audacity of this Jian Yi who was standing before them. That Jian Yi person was only a primary stage ultimate god back then, but he annihilated 3 prefectures in one go. They had since been hearing his reputation spreading within the northern Darkstar continent, such that a lot of major clans on the continent could do nothing, with some even bowing down to him. At that moment, the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor was not at the prefecture, and Jian Yi could easily annihilate them. Remember, only 3 days. Jian Wushuang reminded him again on purpose before shutting his eyes straight away, and quietly waited. The Infernal Heart Prefecture's thieves dared not waste any time, as they immediately reported the incident to their governor. The thieves did not lie, as their governor was indeed at the Green Flame Prefecture. When Jian Wushuang appeared at the Infernal Heart Prefecture's quarters, he was happily eating and drinking with the 2 governors from Green Flame Prefecture Governor and Mysterious Shade Prefectures. Right at that moment, his face immediately changed upon receiving a message from his assistant, the high-level Ultimate God. Chapter 2561, Second Battle with the Governor. Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor, what's troubling you? The governors of Green Flame and Mysterious Shade Prefectures both noticed his mood change. The Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor immediately stood up. Gentlemen, something's happening in my prefecture. Something's happening in Infernal Heart Prefecture. The 2 governors were surprised. The Green Flame Prefecture Governor asked, the Infernal Heart Prefecture is the strongest of us. Even if you're currently not at headquarters, it doesn't seem likely anyone or any thieves in the Dark Thunder territory could do anything to it. What could happen? It's Jian Yi. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor's face turned gloomy. The Jian Yi who annihilated Demonic Moon, Heaven Poison, and Underworld prefectures in one go. He's just appearing in front of our headquarters and asked my assistant to pass me a message which requests me to meet him up within 3 days. Otherwise, my prefecture would be wiped out. What arrogance! Reckless! The other 2 governors growled in unison. This Jian Yi guy sure has some guts. He had greatly offended the 15 prefectures when he destroyed those 3 prefectures. If he didn't quickly escape, he would have been kept within the Dark Thunder territory. Now, he even has the nerve to come back and seek trouble with the Infernal Heart Prefecture. He really treats the 15 prefectures like dirt. Green Flame Prefecture Governor angrily said, Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor, don't worry. Jian Yi probably hasn't touched your prefecture yet. Green Flame Prefecture Governor, and I will go with you so that we can join forces to capture and skin him alive to vent our 18 prefectures' anger on top of avenging Demonic Moon, Heaven Poison, and Underworld Prefecture. Mysterious Shade Prefecture Governor frostily said, Very well. The Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor nodded. After Jian Yi left Dark Thunder territory, he went to the northern Darkstar continent and made quite a name for himself. I hear that even the continent's large clans couldn't touch him. His abilities must have risen quite a bit. Honestly, I think that I may not be able to take him down alone, but am much more confident now with your help. Let's get going now. The 3 strongest peak ultimate god governors of the Dark Thunder territory went on their way toward Infernal Heart Prefecture. Green Flame Prefecture was located not far from Infernal Heart Prefecture, and based on their speed, they needed not 3 days, but only 2 to arrive at the doorsteps of Infernal Heart Prefecture's quarter. As they arrived at the mountains surrounding Void where the quarter was, the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor immediately saw the golden-robed young man who stood quietly in the void in front of the quarter. The young man stood there like a meditating old monk, but none of the many Infernal Heart thieves dared attack him despite quite a few ultimate gods among them. The Infernal Heart thieves were incredibly happy upon their governor's arrival. The governor is back. Not only the governor, but also the Green Flame and Mysterious Shade Prefecture's governors. Dark Thunder Territory's 3 most powerful men are all here. Haha, that's 18 prefectures for you. Although we fight among ourselves in normal days, We would work together as soon as a strong enemy appears. This Jian Yi may be skillful, but he may have no other choices but run when facing the three governors. The thieves suddenly felt very confident. That was indeed natural, since the three peak ultimate gods had arrived, and their governor was a powerful figure who had developed his principal world. Jian Yi should not stand a chance when facing such a lineup, such as that, unless he was an Earth ultimate god. Jian Yi, the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor's eyes were cold when he appeared in front of Jian Wushuang, with the two other governors standing beside him. "Mr. Governor, we meet again." Jian Wushuang opened his eyes and looked at the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor. After that, he quickly scanned the other two governors. Didn't expect to see the Green Flame and Mysterious Shade Prefecture governors. "I'm truly honored that all three Dark Thunder Territories peak ultimate gods have arrived together just because of me. Jian Yi, you've already left Dark Thunder Territory before and made quite a reputation for yourself. Why did you come back to our turf?" Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor coldly asked. "Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor, perhaps you forgot that I've told you before leaving that I'd love to fight you once again in the future if there's an opportunity, and here I am." Jian Wushuang smiled. "Just to fight with me?" The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor stared at Jian Wushuang. "Yup, just as simple as that," said Jian Wushuang. What he said was completely true. The governor said, "All right then. I'll fulfill your wish, but it can't be here. How about the void over that side?" That area was, after all, the old nest of Infernal Heart Prefecture. Even if there was a restrictive shield, the shield may not be able to withstand the battle impact of two peak ultimate gods if they fought there. "Sure." Jian Wushuang nodded as his figure dashed toward the empty void afar in a flash. The Infernal Heart, Green Flame, Mysterious Shade Prefecture governors, and the many Infernal Heart thieves followed. Jian Wushuang, expressionless, stood there upon arriving at the empty void. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor looked at the other two beside him. "Gentlemen, I'll fight with him for the first round. Both of the two wait here and find an opportunity to make a move." "Okay." Both governors nodded carefully. The three governors did not simply intend to chase Jian Wushuang away. They wanted to force Jian Wushuang to stay if possible. However, they had to first sound him out. "Mr. Governor, please make your move." Jian Wushuang smiled plainly. "As you wish." The governor did not waste any time as his body leisurely gilded before appearing in front of Jian Wushuang with his incredible speed. His cold and evil-looking black sword stabbed Jian Wushuang's skull from a tricky angle. Jian Wushuang took a glance at the dark sword light and simply flicked his finger without unsheathing his sword. Twang! His finger hit the black sword's flat surface and resolved the tricky angle attack with an enormous bolt of divine power explosion, which changed the sword's direction. "What?" The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor was shocked as he swayed toward a void on the side. "Mr. Governor, don't play around with me. Unleash your sword world and give your all," said Jian Wushuang coldly. The whole reason he went back to find the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor was because of the latter's sword world. He merely wanted to get a grasp of his sword world and was disinterested in any attack issued at him without the sword world. Chapter 2562, Earth Ultimate God's Battle Power. Why Your Divine Powers. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor stared at Jian Wushuang in total shock. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor naturally could not figure out Jian Wushuang's level, as he had been standing without projecting any aura. However, Jian Wushuang could bounce his long sword away with a mere finger flick and divine power outburst once Jian Wushuang took action. The governor soon realized that aura was one only a peak ultimate god could possess. That came as a surprise, as Jian Wushuang was only at the level of primary stage ultimate god when he left the Dark Thunder territory. How long had it been? Not even 3 years. Jian Yi, who stood before him at that moment, had risen to peak ultimate god, from primary stage ultimate god. How could he progress so quickly? Looks like you probably had some immense luck on the northern Darkstar continent. No wonder even the clans there could not touch you. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor looked gloomy. Indeed, I've improved quite a bit from my very good luck. Otherwise, how would I dare stand before you in public like this? Jian Wushuang chuckled. Mr. Governor, show me your strongest move. Humph. The governor did not hold back and humphed as the boundless sword essence began to sweep up. In the blink of an eye, a sword world had formed and pressed against Jian Wushuang. Enormous stunning energy began to work against Jian Wushuang. Although Jian Wushuang's cultivation level had increased, his divine power was as strong as an earth ultimate god. However, that was only one aspect, as being repressed by the principal world was not something his divine powers could change. At that very moment, his abilities, especially Sword Principle, was immensely decreased when faced with such an incredibly stunning effect. I get to feel the sword world again. Although being repressed, Jian Wushuang felt joy instead of fear. At the same time, he was analyzing the completed sword world in great detail. This is indeed an actual sword world inside out. It's incredibly refined and complete from its illusory to existential state. A true world, Jian Wushuang murmured to himself. However, the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor had moved. This is a deathmatch battle, and you dare get distracted? The governor was furious as his eyes burst with killing intent. Dark sword, kill God! His pitch-black longsword glowed with a dark light as he shouted and bloomed with black ripples under the sword world's vibrations. The big swirl-like ripples suddenly charged at Jian Wushuang. That strike was the governor's strongest move. More than 2 years ago, Jian Wushuang could not fend off that strike when crossing hands against the governor. In the end, he had to rely purely on his bodily defensive capabilities to withstand that strike's energy. However, at this moment, Jian Wushuang was still submerging himself in understanding the sword world and only began to reach when the black swirl appeared in front of him. At that very moment, he unsheathed the blood mountain from his back and spontaneously swung it. The sword which blocked the black swirl immediately broke it apart. He blocked it so easily. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor was shocked, but vicious light immediately burst from his eyes again. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Beams of strangely cold sword lights continuously lashed out under the sword world's effect. The large number of sword lights were incredibly fast, ferocious, and contained terrifying energies. They were so dense as it seemed as though infinite sword lights were completely drowning Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang only smiled lightly and sent out a casual stroke, which easily fended away those dense sword lights. At the same time, Jian Wushuang was still submerging himself in feeling the sword world. On the battlefield's edge, the Green Flame Prefecture governor, Mysterious Shade Prefecture governor, and numerous Infernal Heart Prefecture thieves were gathered together. Both governors looked worried. It's only less than 3 years, and Jian Yi has risen 2 levels. With such a big leap in his abilities, I'm afraid the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor alone can't touch him, said the Green Flame Prefecture governor. Indeed, he has given his all, but he could not gain even a bit of an advantage. In addition, Jian Yi has not given his all from the looks of it, said the Mysterious Shade Prefecture governor. The Green Flame Prefecture governor menacingly said, "We shouldn't wait any longer. Let's immediately join in and work with the governor. Let's kill him." All right. The mysterious Shade Prefecture governor nodded. In the next moment, both Peak Ultimate Gods governors also joined in the attack. Jian Wushuang was within the sword world, feeling its surroundings in great detail, while fending off the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor's sword attacks. Although the sword world's enormous stunning effects made him unable to unleash his full abilities, he could still easily resolve various attacks and tactics thrown at him. However, right at that moment, boom, boom, Jian Wushuang's senses suddenly detected two violent auras penetrating the battlefield. Jian Wushuang's face turned cold. The outcome came as no surprise when Jian Wushuang casually waved his hand. That mere wave had startled space-time, heaven, and earth. Whoosh! An infinitely huge and terrifying sword light suddenly burst out before instantly reaching both governors who just joined the battle. What? Careful! The two shocked governors blocked the sword light. However, boom! A deep thud of collision sounded before both of them shot backward, like cannonballs. At the same time, their faces turned pale as they tasted blood in their throats before spat out a gulp of it. Both of them were completely shocked to a standstill with their auras having decreased by half. How's that possible? The two governors could not believe it. How was it possible that when two Peak Ultimate Gods attacking together, a mere reserve stroke could severely injure both of them? What kind of ability was it? Earth Ultimate God. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor was also shocked at that moment while looking at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang's face remained incredibly cold as he shot a glance toward the two governors who were already out of the battlefield and frostily said, "I only want to fight with the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor, and will kill anyone who tries to interfere." Jian Wushuang's voice was also icy as he exploded with a menacing and overpowering aura that was way above Peak Ultimate God. In that instant, heaven and earth turned dead silent. Chapter 2563. 9 days, indeed. He's indeed an Earth Ultimate God. The thieves around were gasping in shock from feeling Jian Wushuang's overpowering divine breath. The divine power level determined the divine breath, and Jian Wushuang's divine power was comparable to an Earth Ultimate God. Hence his divine breath was naturally at that level. However, under the Black Stone's camouflage, his divine power breath was only at Peak Ultimate God. Tithis, the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor, also stood there completely stunned. He could not imagine that Jian Wushuang had already risen to that level in less than 3 years. Around only 2 years ago, he could still completely crush Jian Wushuang and make him powerless to retaliate, were it not for Jian Wushuang's incredible physical defensive capabilities. He could have died in the previous battle with the governor. "Mr. Governor, no one else will disturb us again. Let's continue." Jian Wushuang smiled as he sent his Blood Mountain sword forward. The governor was startled as he thought that Jian Wushuang's sword strike would be incredibly terrifying. However, that strike was not powerful at all, and he could withstand it pretty easily. Jian Wushuang and the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor began fighting again. During the process, the governor noticed that Jian Wushuang had been holding back his abilities. His divine breath was not completely projected and consistently stayed at the level of a Peak Ultimate God. He was purely battling him using sword techniques. In some situations, Jian Wushuang was even being suppressed by him because of the sword world and seemed rather embarrassing. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor finally understood the reason from seeing that, and it did not need a wise man to finally realize it. Is he using me to train his sword principle? He's precisely feeling my sword world. This guy, the governor's face turned purple out of anger. Anyone who was being used as a testing dummy to increase his abilities would not be happy about it. However, he dared not slow down 1 second as he was worried that it would offend Jian Wushuang and caused him to start killing, not just killing him, but also destroying the entire Infernal Heart Prefecture. He did not doubt that Jian Wushuang could annihilate the entire prefecture. Due to that, all the governor could do was to continue playing along with Jian Wushuang by suppressing him with the sword world's stunning effects and help him to achieve a breakthrough in his sword principle. He could not begin to think about how foolish he felt for doing that. In the blink of an eye, the pair had been fighting under everyone's watch for a full hour. "Let's stop." Jian Wushuang finally spoke and retreated backward. "Finally done?" As the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor felt relieved, Jian Wushuang unexpectedly glared at him. "I can see that you don't have much divine power left in you. It'll give you some time to rejuvenate. Let's do it again, as soon as you're ready." Jian Wushuang smiled. "What?" The governor's face turned paper pale. The Green Flame Prefecture governor, Mysterious Shade Prefecture governor, and surrounding thieves gulped. Jian Wushuang had already treated the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor as his training mate. The governor of Infernal Heart Prefecture dared not speak up despite feeling angry. He had no choice but to try his best to recover his divine powers under Jian Wushuang's coercion. After a long while, most of his divine powers were finally restored. "Mr. Governor, shall we continue?" Jian Wushuang smiled. The governor was unable to oppose Jian Wushuang and could only unleash his sword world once again to stun and suppress him before fighting Jian Wushuang with his full might. Jian Wushuang did not once display his true ability and only kept his divine aura at the regular peak ultimate god level, using only his sword techniques when crossing hands and trading blows with the governor. Time flowed by while such battles repeatedly occurred. Jian Wushuang and the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor fought repeatedly every day as time passed. 9 days had passed in the blink of an eye. In those 9 days, everyone lost count of how many times Jian Wushuang had fought the governor. One thing was clear: the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor had to recover his divine powers dozens of times. After 9 days, the governor felt incredibly tired and embarrassed, while Jian Wushuang was still feeling ready to fight. The governor even felt like not obliging him a few times. However, he forced himself to swallow the embarrassment as soon as he recalled Jian Wushuang's battle strength. "Finally, on the 10th day, we can stop now," said Jian Wushuang. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor immediately stopped. "In the past 9 days, I've learned and felt enough through your sword world. Although I still haven't found the most crucial factor to develop my sword world, it's still incredibly useful to me. It's not very meaningful for us to continue at this point." Jian Wushuang knew that he had reached a real bottleneck. He was only one step away from developing his sword world, as he had taken a big leap forward after those 9 days. The remaining step could not be achieved just by feeling the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor's sword world. He could only find alternative ways. "Mr. Governor, thanks for your help in the past few days. In exchange, I can spare the lives of Infernal Heart Prefecture and the other 14 prefectures in the Dark Thunder territory. However, all 15 prefectures need to provide me with 500,000 primordial stones as the price to pay for saving the lives of numerous thieves from all 15 prefectures." Jian Wushuang smiled. 500,000. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor shuddered. The governors of Green Flame and Mysterious Shade prefectures were also shocked. The numerous thieves in the Infernal Heart Prefecture began to look worried. 500,000 was an extremely huge number. The 15 prefectures were indeed deeply rooted in the Dark Thunder territory and possessed substantial wealth. However, the wealth they possessed was a far cry from the northern Darkstar continent's clans. The 3 prefectures Jian Wushuang annihilated, Demonic Moon, Heaven Poison, and Underworld only possessed a total of 90,000 primordial stones. Although they had numerous other resources, Jian Yi had said that he only wanted primordial stones and nothing else. Therefore, it was still an extremely huge sum for each of them, even if the 15 prefectures equally split up the task. I'll be staying in the Dark Thunder territory for a while, but too long. I shall return to the Infernal Heart Prefecture's headquarters before leaving and hope that all the primordial stones will be ready by then. By the way, it needs to be purely primordial stones, so don't you dare fill in the numbers with other stuff. It'll use your lives to fill up those gaps if the numbers don't add up. Jian Wushuang sneered and left when he finished. Chapter 2564. Sword Principal Training. After Jian Wushuang left, emotions began to stir in the void. The Green Flame Prefecture Governor shouted, "Damn it! He's got some guts to ask for 500 primordial stones." The Mysterious Shade Prefecture Governor furiously said, "This Jian Yi is obviously asking for a lot. No, this is clearly robbery. Yes, he's robbing us, but even then, what can we do?" The Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor seemed rather calm. "Gentlemen, don't forget who we are. We are thieves, too, and robbing is our business. The only thing is that our positions have been switched with him, and it's Jian Yi who's robbing us now. Not to mention, he possesses the capacity to do so." The two governors fell silent. They immediately recalled the moment Jian Wushuang's burst out with energy and severely injured them with a single sword stroke. Without a doubt, Jian Wushuang did possess the ability to destroy the 15 prefectures all by himself. Everybody must yield before absolute strength. Normally, the 15 prefectures were not afraid of the Northern Darkstar continent's large clans. They were not even too fearful of top-tier clans such as Shi, Wu, and Situ clans. However, they would never have the nerve to cross the Northern Darkstar territorial lord. That was because the territorial lord possessed the powers to absolutely crush them. Jian Wushuang's ability may be slightly lower than the Northern Darkstar territorial lord, but it was not too far behind. The 15 prefectures could only swallow their pride when faced against experts with an Earth Ultimate God's battle strength. Infernal Heart Governor, do you mean that we'll have to pay up? The Green Flame Prefecture Governor trembled. Do you have a better idea? The Infernal Heart Prefecture Governor looked at him. The other two governors exchanged a look before helplessly shook their heads. After leaving the Infernal Heart Prefecture, Jian Wushuang glided through the void alone with a slight smile on his face. "I was slightly hesitant when taking action on the Northern Darkstar continent clans, as they never crossed me after all. However, I didn't have to worry so much about the 18 prefecture bunch of thieves who go around robbing people and causing nothing but trouble. I'm not even going too far if I were to kill all of them. Hence, asking for 500,000 primordial stones is already rather merciful on my part." Jian Wushuang smiled. 500,000 primordial stones was truly a big number. However, the 18 prefectures had been dominating the Dark Thunder territory for so many years and surely had accumulated an incredible amount of treasures. The 3 prefectures that he previously annihilated were the weakest ones. Even then, he managed to obtain 90,000 primordial stones from them, and other treasures that were worth even more. Infernal Heart, Green Flame, and Mysterious Shade Prefecture's possessions must surely be extraordinary since they have peak ultimate gods on their helm. Perhaps it would not be difficult for each of them to pay 100,000 pieces, while the rest could be split among the other prefectures without exactly costing them an arm and a leg. Jian Wushuang did, of course, think of annihilating the 15 prefectures as well. However, that did not guarantee the peacefulness of Dark Thunder territory. On the contrary, it would become even more chaotic as countless thievery powers would begin to fight for their chances, and new powers would emerge in different corners at the end. That much was for certain. Besides, it was too radical of a movement if he destroyed all 15 prefectures in one go, as the many clans in the northern Darkstar continent would definitely receive the news immediately, and the northern Darkstar territorial lord would definitely notice him. He had not developed his sword world yet, hence he was not confident to be able to defeat or kill the territorial lord. Therefore, it would be best not to catch the territorial lord's attention. I'm not extremely close to developing the sword world. I have no other ways but to find other opportunities. I'll be wandering around in the dark thunder territory in the days to come while continuing to study and cultivate. I'll also use the thieves around to train my sword principle and techniques. Jian Wushuang smiled and made a decision. He needed to upgrade his sword principle, his sword skills as well. He previously spent most of his time raising his law, awareness, and sword principle while in seclusion without inventing better sword techniques. The space-time and transmigration sword techniques could both use an upgrade. It would be best to spar with an opponent so that he could keep experimenting to upgrade those sword techniques. Dark Thunder Territory's thieves and criminals had naturally become his main targets. Even though their abilities were weak and posed no threat to him, it was more than enough for him to train his sword techniques. Jian Wushuang moved his figure at that moment, and the golden robe, golden glass armor he wore was kept inside the interspatial ring only to be replaced by a normal black robe. His was too infamous in the Dark Thunder Territory, such that everybody knew he wore a golden robe and carried a long sword on his back. The thieves in the territory would most probably not get close if they saw him. Therefore, he slightly changed his image by wearing a black robe instead. Besides that, he stopped using the black stone to cover up his divine power breath, and instead let out his primary stage ultimate god's divine power breath. A black-robed man who was carrying a long sword on his back and projecting a primary stage ultimate god's divine power breath would make those thieves let their guard down and attack him without hesitation. He could then use them as his training mates. After putting on his disguise, Jian Wushuang began to wander freely in the Dark Thunder Territory. His wandering had very soon caught the eye of various thieves around. Furthermore, the number of thieves in the central area was great and quite capable. They need not worry too much about the primary stage, ultimate god Jian Wushuang. Not long after, a band of thieves came up to him. "Hey kid, give us all the treasures in your interspatial ring, and we'll probably let you live. Otherwise die." The leader, a muscular man holding a huge axe, fiercely stared at Jian Wushuang while the remaining thieves surrounded Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang began to smile demonically upon looking at that sight. "It'll start with all of you." Jian Wushuang moved. He could suppress his divine power or unleash it to the primary stage ultimate god level, with many primary stage ultimate gods not even as strong in comparison to himself. He had also held back a great deal of his law understanding by using only his sword skills and relying on his sword principle understanding before starting an intense fight with the thieves. There were a total of 3 primary stage ultimate god among the thieves, with the rest of them being powerful divine demons. Even then, the band of thieves was still being completely defeated by him after a round of battle, with most either dead or escaped. Jian Wushuang did not pursue them and continued wandering around. Chapter 2565. Established Sword World. Jian Wushuang journeyed the world alone with a sword in his hand, during which he constantly honed his swordsmanship. Through hard practices and repeated fights with the bandits, he gained breadth and depth of sword principles knowledge as he continued innovating his space-time and transmigration sword techniques. Time quickly flew past. In a flash, Jian Wushuang had been wandering in the Dark Thunder Territory for a year and 3 months. He finally made a pit stop. On a snow-covered mountaintop, Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged with his eyes slightly closed. in his mind. He recalled the many things he felt during the 9-day battle with the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor. The perfect sword world was different from the one Jian Wushuang knew. Jian Wushuang also recalled the many sword principle insights left by the Purple Blood Saint, specifically the introduction part about the sword world. In the end, Jian Wushuang reminisced about his journey for the past 1 year and 3 months, as well as the events he encountered in Dark Thunder territory, such as the bandits who looted and fought wildly. Life seemed to be fragile, yet so tenacious. He saw a peak divine demon realm cultivator who submitted to a bandit to survive. She just wanted to live. The world, life, Jian Wushuang murmured under his breath as he set his heart and mind to achieve the enlightenment of all beings. I get it. I finally know what's missing: life. A complete world isn't about its frame or outlook. Its core value lies in the life within. The purpose of a world from birth to evolution is the development of life and living beings. Even the world itself is a form of life. From formation to demise, the process is equivalent to birth, aging, sickness, and death of a person, all of which are stages of life. I've never been able to establish my sword world because I've always seen it as a world without life. Although I've understood all kinds of esotericism, I lacked an understanding of life. The evolution of the world is the evolution of life. In search of enlightenment, Jian Wushuang was truly delighted by what unfolded for him. He remained seated on the top of the mountain, but a smile slowly began to spread on his face. Let's begin. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath and began to open up his sword world inside his body. A weak sword intent grew in his body like a germinating seed. It began to take root and sprout before slowly spreading through continuous evolution. It did not take long for a small, complete sword world to open up in his body. The sword world is done. Jian Wushuang was pleasantly surprised. He had long achieved the conditions for opening up the sword world, and the only part lacking was an understanding of life. The process became easier the moment he had broken through the bottleneck and attained enlightenment. However, he had only established a prototype of the sword world, as it was small and needed continuous improvement. The sword principle knowledge Purple Blood Saint left mentioned that the sword world's power is determined by the cultivator. The larger the sword world, the more stable it is, and the stronger its power. He'll have to work on improving it. The sword world within Jian Wushuang's body, which was filled with endless sword intent, began its rapid expansion. It was originally a small and weak world, but expanded rapidly to tens, hundreds, and up to thousands of miles. However, it was contained within his body no matter how it spread. It was nothing like the world outside. In a very brief moment, the sword world in Jian Wushuang's body had spread to 10,000 miles. This 10,000 miles of sword world should be what's normal among many sword principle cultivators. Many cultivators are only at this level, but it's still far from my limit. Let's continue. Jian Wushuang continued expanding his sword world. He did not meet any hindrance. It grew from 10,000 to 20,000 and soon reached 30,000 miles. Shortly after, his sword world expanded to 50,000 miles, and it was still rapidly expanding. 50,000 miles of sword world is considered formidable among sword principle cultivators, but it isn't considered top-rated. Some powerful sword principle experts can establish up to 80 or even 90,000 miles of sword world. At that level, the sword world established would be highly destructive. It shouldn't be difficult for me to reach that level as well. Jian Wushuang was confident of establishing a sword world ranging from 80,000 to 90,000 miles. True to his expectations, it quickly grew to 90,000 miles as his sword world continued to expand. However, that was not the end, as it continued to grow at an astounding speed. 91,092,000, 95,000, and up till 99,999 miles. 9 is the number of heaven and earth. 99,999 miles is the end of what a sword world could achieve. It's the ultimate achievement for any principal world. Jian Wushuang muttered. The purple blood saint mentioned this in his insight records. A principal world of 90,000 miles was scarce in the entire ancient god domain, like a hen's teeth. Having reached 99,999 miles was the extreme level 1 could achieve. It was considered perfect, and perhaps only 2 to 3 had ever achieved such in the entire ancient god domain at any time. Purple Blood Saint was well-traveled in his lifetime and had never met someone who perfected their principal world. Purple Blood Saint deemed it was seemingly impossible for a principal world to go beyond 99,999 miles. Nonetheless, his sword world continued to expand for one last mile right after Jian Wushuang's 99,999 miles achievement before it finally came to a stop. 100,000 miles. Jian Wushuang's sword world ended at 100,000 miles. It was 1 mile more than 99,999 miles. One should not belittle that 1 mile as if 99,999 miles was the heavenly ultimate level, then Jian Wushuang's level was beyond that ultimate level. That 1 mile marked the completion of his sword world. That was truly a perfect sword world, much better than the ultimate 99,999 miles level, 100,000 miles. A perfect sword world indeed. Jian Wushuang slowly opened his eyes with a hint of surprise and joy within it. Chapter 2566. Overpower. Jian Wushuang was the only perfect chaotic creature. A perfect chaotic creature with all aspects of him being truly perfect. A sword world was a principal world, just like any other powers within his body. Therefore, it had been truly perfected like himself. According to Purple Blood Saint, a sword world with 50,000 miles is formidable, while 80 to 90,000 miles is considered terrifying. How will he rate my perfect sword world that's 100,000 miles? Jian Wushuang laughed out loud. His sword world was established at 100,000 miles. Through his mind power, a terrifying sword intent filled heaven and earth as he displayed the full power and potential of his sword world. The appearance of his sword world was not much different from others. However, one would be able to feel an incredible power that filled every corner if one was within his sword world. Well, I shall wait for the opportunity to try out my sword world's power on someone. Jian Wushuang smiled, faintly before getting up. After journeying for 1 year and 3 months, my strength has skyrocketed from finally establishing my perfect sword world. My sword skills have also tremendously improved in the past year or so, and I've also innovated some space-time and transmigration sword techniques. I am happy with making such big improvements. It's time to head back. I'll drop by Internal Heart Prefecture before returning to Northern Darkstar Continent. Jian Wushuang put on his golden glass armor and used the black stone to conceal his divine power breath before heading toward the Infernal Heart Prefecture. Infernal Heart Prefecture remained Dark Thunder Territory's top prefecture, with its governor recognized as the first-ranked expert. Even though the governor had lost face because of Jian Wushuang's arrival, everyone was being rather understanding. After all, his opponent, Jian Wushuang, was someone who possessed the combat prowess of an Earth ultimate god. As soon as Jian Wushuang appeared in the void above the Infernal Heart Prefecture's lair, the bandits went into a state of tumult. In just a brief moment, the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor personally went up to Jian Wushuang. Master Jian, he greeted the governor respectfully. How's the progress of those matters? I asked the 15 prefectures to prepare. Jian Wushuang indifferently asked. They're ready. The governor immediately took out an interspatial ring. Jian Wushuang took the ring and scanned it. He saw there were indeed 500,000 primordial stones, and nodded slightly. Governor, I'm about to leave the dark thunder territory. Let's duel again, before I go. Jian Wushuang was straightforward. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor shuddered at the suggestion as his face turned chalk white. He would never forget the time when he was Jian Wushuang's training partner for 9 days. The unpleasant experience was indelible. He could not help but wonder if Jian Wushuang would call him to be his training partner again. Don't worry, it won't take long this time. I just want to use your sword world to experiment with something, said Jian Wushuang. The governor breathed a sigh of relief. He did not hesitate and immediately displayed his sword world. Jian Wushuang looked up at the surrounding sword world before faintly smiling and instantly unleashed his sword world. Rumble! As soon as Jian Wushuang's sword world appeared, the governor's sword world began to recede and retreat at an astonishing speed. The governor's sword world was reduced to only a small circumference around him almost instantly. How is it possible? My sword world is 20,000 miles. How could it be easily compressed to such a state in a jiffy? The governor's eyes widened in disbelief. He was especially shocked when he felt the vast oppression rising within his body, which greatly restricted his sword skills and strength. Both were sword worlds, but why was his opponent's world so easily crushed his? I have only utilized 70% of the power, which is equivalent to unleashing a 70,000 miles sword world, and yet the Infernal Heart Prefecture governor's sword world was reduced into this state. If I utilize my full potential, what could have happened to his sword world? Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes as he was a little surprised by his discovery. He had underestimated the power of his perfect sword world. No doubt successfully establishing his perfect sword world had improved his strength by leaps and bounds. Governor, thank you very much. Goodbye. Jian Wushuang withdrew his sword world and gave the governor a faint smile before leaving. The governor finally let out a long sigh after Jian Wushuang had left and completely disappeared from his sight. Jian Yi was seeking a breakthrough in sword principle with the help of my sword world, but he has opened up his powerful sword world after little more than a year. The Infernal Heart Prefecture governor secretly and silently praised. His sword world must be at least 70 to 80,000 miles for my 20,000 miles of sword world to be instantly compressed into a laminable state. Well, it's really amazing. Fortunately, he has finally left. I hope he'll never step into the dark thunder territory again. After getting 500,000 primordial stones from Infernal Heart Prefecture, Jian Wushuang directly left the dark thunder territory. He returned to the northern Darkstar continent once again more than a month later, back to where he began his seclusion. He wanted to refine those 500,000 primordial stones, of course. Although the number of stones was far from allowing him to make a breakthrough and reach the high-level ultimate god realm, it would at least tremendously improve his strength. Such would help boost his confidence level while facing San Shouwang. Due to him being a primary stage ultimate god, his primordial stones absorption and refinement speed were completely at a new level. He had only spent less than 3 months to refine those 500,000 stones and improved his divine powers. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes in the secret chamber with a thick light flashing within his eyes. More than a year ago, I just made a breakthrough to the primary stage ultimate god, and am confident he'll be able to fight head-on with the territorial lord with even an advantage after upgrading my secret techniques. Now that both my sword skills and law understanding have been improved in addition to the success of establishing my perfect sword world, I have enough strength to defeat San Shouwang. I have the confidence to kill him even if he has a lot of hidden cards. It's time to go for him after the long wait. Jian Wushuang decided in his heart. He came out of his seclusion immediately and found Xiao Tiexin before informing her of his decision. Chapter 2567. Take action. Mr. Jian Yi, are you going to take action against San Shouwang? Xiao Tiexin looked at Jian Wushuang closely, eager to know his answer. Jian Wushuang nodded. Yes. Are you confident? Xiao Tiexin was a little worried. In the battle between the San Shouwang and Pei Qi, the strength they displayed was impressive and had completely surpassed the capabilities of peak ultimate gods. According to Jian Wushuang, San Shouwang had reserved some of his strength during the battle. Don't worry. I'm confident when I decide to make a move. Jian Wushuang smiled. However, the current problem is that after the battle with Pei Qi, San Shouwang began his seclusion and announced that he won't be accepting any dual challenge in the next 1,000 years. If that's the case, I won't be able to challenge him. He had certain authorities as a stellar region territorial lord. Even if an opponent challenged the territorial lord could choose to accept the challenge within 1,000 years. Having said that, there was a possibility it could be delayed for up to 1,000 years. San Shouwang had publicly announced that he would like to cease all battles for 1,000 years. Therefore, even if Jian Wushuang decided to exhaust all conditions to challenge San Shouwang, there was a possibility it would only happen after 1,000 years. That was far too long for Jian Wushuang in his current life. He did not have time to wait around for 1,000 years. Indeed, now that San Shouwang has avoided the invitations for battles, he can just simply ignore you. Even if you force his hand by leveraging on your strength, it's still quite impossible. He has control over a powerful and formidable official army after all. Xiao Tiexin looked straight at Jian Wushuang. Although they're just ordinary gods, they're extremely large in number. The most important matter is that they are a complete battalion with unique military formation methods. Under normal circumstances, a battalion consisting of 1,000 soldiers united to deploy strategic military formations is usually enough to compete against the average Earth ultimate god. There are 10,000 soldiers in the official army grouped into 10 battalions. That's equivalent to the strength of 10 Earth ultimate gods. Mr. Jian Yi, although you're powerful, you may not be able to single-handedly defeat all 10 military formations. Jian Wushuang simply nodded. He had heard about the official army's strength. Normally, the official army would not interfere if San Shouwang wanted to accept any challenges or fights. However, San Shouwang had announced that he would not be accepting any challenges at the moment. The official army would step in should Jian Wushuang insist on a forceful move. It won't work if I issue a challenge to him or force my way to his location. I'm left with the last option, which is to lure him out of his seclusion and make him initiate the flight with me, said Jian Wushuang. Perhaps an irresistible benefit or a piece of treasure will fish out his insatiable greed. He'll be out for sure, so long there's something he's interested in. Such a treasure. Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes as he thought about his options. He possessed a piece of treasure befitting the descriptions. Nonetheless, there would be some risks he would have to handle due to it. Furthermore, the official army was another issue he had to be mindful of. By the way, have there been any major events in the northern Darkstar continent during my absence? How's the Situ clan? Jian Wushuang suddenly asked and changed the subject. Mr. Jian Yi, you've only been away for more than a year, so nothing major happened. However, the Situ clan situation is becoming worse, said Xiao Tiexin. Oh, what happened? Jian Wushuang asked. I've been staying in the northern Darkstar continent during this period and kept in touch with the Situ clan. I can see that the Situ clan has become tenser during this period as the outside world's pressure has built up. There's news that San Shouwang was about to take action against the Situ clan, so the Situ clan has probably been quite apprehensive, explained Xiao Tiexin. So San Shouwang is really going to do something to the Situ clan. Huh? Jian Wushuang secretly nodded. The Situ clan was a powerful clan, and the fact that it lacked an Earth ultimate god was like a huge cake being placed in front of San Shouwang. It was too enticing. San Shouwang would probably try his best to restrain himself from exposing the ugly side of his voracious greed. However, he would chow down that piece of cake. The Situ clan has helped me a lot. I'll go over and have a look. Jian Wushuang smiled. Jian Wushuang took Xiao Tiexin to the Situ mansion. Situ Yuan, the Situ clan leader, personally greeted him at the door when he knew that Jian Wushuang visited. The two of them were soon sitting at the Situ mansion's discussion hall. Besides Situ Yuan, several Situ clan elders were also present. The peak ultimate god realm elders were the Situ clan's members with the highest cultivation level. Mr. Jian Yi, I haven't seen you for ages, but you look great as usual. Zhuge Yuan took the initiative to greet him. I've been well. The Situ clan leader and everyone from the Situ clan must have been feeling quite troubled recently. I assume. Jian Wushuang smiled. Situ Yuan and the Situ clan elders were startled. Mr. Jian Yi, what do you mean? Situ Yuan looked over. Well, clan leader, we know what's going on. Although I haven't been in the northern Darkstar continent recently, I'm aware of what's been going on here. San Shouwang couldn't wait to take action against the Situ clan. Could he? Jian Wushuang smiled. Situ Yuan's eyes widened as he said, Mr. Jian Yi is right. Judging from the official army's activities during this period, San Shouwang has been showing his eagerness to take action against the Situ clan, and we're not sure if we'll be able to survive the disaster this time around. Jian Wushuang saw the worry written across the faces of Situ Yuan and the Situ clan elders. That was understandable. They saw what had happened to the Xiao clan, after all. The Situ clan's overall strength was not much different to the Xiao clan, with their only advantage of having a few more allies. Nonetheless, the Situ clan would suffer the same plight if San Shouwang made up his mind to topple their clan. Clan leader, let's be frank. I'm here because the Situ clan was kind to me before, so I'd like to offer my help to resolve this crisis. Jian Wushuang offered up his services to them. Situ Yuan and the elders exchanged looks before standing up and thanking Jian Wushuang upon hearing that. We're extremely grateful that Mr. Jian Yi is willing to help us who are in trouble. Clan leader, don't thank me too early. You should listen to the reason why I've offered my help, said Jian Wushuang mysteriously. Your reason? Situ Yuan looked over quizzically. What is it? Jian Wushuang did not answer immediately. Instead, he looked wearily at the surrounding elders. Situ Yuan understood what Jian Wushuang meant and assured him, Mr. Jian Yi, don't worry. These elders are the Situ clan's pillars. They know everything that I know. There's no need to hide anything from them.